I'm waiting on Sandy to tell me when I'm okay. She's giving me the cue. All right. So welcome everybody to the Entrepreneur Express here in Galax. I am Mandy Archer. I'm director for the Blue Ridge Crossroads Small Business Development Center. This office is, so Small Business Development Centers, 1 in 27 centers across the state of Virginia that offer free and confidential business counseling. My office serves Carol, Grace, and Galax within Bland. Yes, it's quite a footprint, so it's a challenge sometimes. But we have partnered with other agencies, Virginia Community Capital, who else? People Incorporated, Virginia Tourism Corporation, we all those people up here, that to be able to bring back. So Entrepreneur Express is a program that actually began, I think, here in Galax, right, Sandy? Here in Galax, back in like 2008, and the goal was to really just be a skyline overview of starting a business. We've of course morphed it into some other aspects, trying to make sure that you learn about the basics. You know, people want to know, how do I market my business? How do I get money to start my business or expand it? And then also we want to make sure that you're planning for that. So we've got a variety of speakers today. You will hear from me about business planning, and then we're going to talk about some marketing, financing, and then hot topic, of course, as of now, is cybersecurity and IT. We have a video from one of our partners, Aegis Technology, Jonathan Edmond, talking about that, because that is part of your plan now these days, especially if you're going to be accepting money, doing transactions online. A little bit of housekeeping. We do, of course, have some refreshments. We've got some coffee, water. What else we got over there? Muffins, cookies, fruit. Feel free to help yourself at any time. You're all adults. Feel free to walk over, get you something. Restrooms are right behind me, so if you exit either of these doors, men's and women's are behind there. Of course, feel free at any time if you need to. Depending on, we do have a break scheduled, but that could depend on how we're rolling along, and we may just ask you how things are. This time I'm going to turn it over to Sandy Ratliff, who is going to kind of talk to you guys for a minute, maybe do some introductions, and we'll go from there. Before I do that, I will make sure that I want you all to know about the rest of my staff, Teresa Catron, who works with marketing. She also wears a million hats, so she's got to leave at some point and go run the Hillsville Farmers Market. And then Jeannie Plant, who does administration for not only Small Business Development Center, but our Economic Development Authority and many other organizations. All right, Sandy, you ready? Do you want me to pose, Becky?
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm doing dual roles today. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and it's nice to kind of come back home today. As Mandy alluded to, we did start this program back in, I think it was 2006, here in Galax, as a way to help businesses connect with all the resources, kind of like what we're doing today. Hear about if you're looking at starting or expanding a business. This is your one stop that you can find out about that. This is also a big day for me because this is the first time I've been past exit 19 in Washington County for almost 2.5 years. Last year I was bald-headed and taking chemo treatments, battling ovarian cancer. So this is a big day, and I'm happy to be sharing it with you all. I love being able to connect people to resources, and so I'll be the lady in the back wearing the mask, but it's great to be back here today.
And we're thankful you're back.
The Lord's brought me a long way in the past year. Everybody's got a copy of the agenda. Also attached to that is an evaluation. We would love to hear from you after the event. And if you could complete that before you leave, or there's a QR code there that you could scan that and also fill it out. But this is our way of knowing, A, are we on the mark for what your needs are? I should have moved over one. And two is, what can we do after today's event? This is not where we win. This is just meeting you today. Is how can we help you to take that idea or that need to expand your business to the next level? And that's the whole reason that we're doing this session. In addition, there is a list of all of the presenters today who they are and how you can get contact with them. Not only you have cards, but you can take that with you afterwards. And then there's some other collaborative material that will be discussed by the other speakers. But I am recording this today, basically for education and training purposes. However, we'll post those because there might be somebody else that couldn't come today that we could provide value to them. So, you know who I am. Again, Sandy Ratliff, the Virginia Community Capital. And it's always great before we get started to help us, the partners, to understand is who is in the room. So let's go around the room, introduce yourself. If you want to share what you're planning to do, it's your opportunity to do your little pitch, business pitch. But within 30 seconds, tell us who you are and how we can help. So I'll start right here.
Emerald Young, I live outside of Freeze. I've lived in Grayson County since June of 2020. And I'm just interested in getting ideas.
Great. And hopefully we'll get back to you.
Jim Personer, I live just out of town, outside of town here, a few miles, and I've got 6 acres of land that I want to turn into a farm, meat, plants, crops, stuff like that.
Great. Good morning.
I'm Janet Clark. I live here in Galax, and I'm all by myself, and I've got a house that's going to waste, basically. So I have a guest room at the back of the house that I'm turning into a B&B, with its own entrance and its own driveway. So I just want to find out all the resources and how to utilize them, because I want to get it set up right.
And if you're looking at doing an Airbnb on that, I've done a number of workshops. I can send you the link, and we also have one coming up, a couple coming up in the next several months. So if you want to watch it, most of it's webinar type, but kind of walk through the steps of how do you Airbnb, you know, the pros and the cons, how you get set up, how do you manage it. Happy to help.
Great. I appreciate that.
Pleasure. Hi.
My name is Kip White. I'm from Dogsboro, Virginia here. So my business is printing and designing business. So I just want to expand my business by letting everybody knows in here town in Galax or in Hillsview, because we kind of new. So I just want to try to get everybody knows.
Great. Hi.
I'm Angela Byram. I lived here for 2.5 years in Independence. I'm a chef, and I'm hoping to open a restaurant.
Good. And I like to eat.
You like our food.
Good.
I'm Rebecca Roberts, and I'm here on 2 roles. I am the facility manager of the Grayson County Gate Center in Independence, Virginia. I manage a commercial kitchen and a compliment room there. And then I'm also concerned about opening up a nonprofit.
Great. Hello.
Yeah, I'm Jason Murphy. I stay right up the road, right up the hill, and I want to make films that go beyond the screen. They go beyond entertainment. Not only entertain and educate, but also be able to help people. That's dedicated to the theme of our current production. So right now, I'm waiting I'm the editor, so you get our first short done. It should be done tomorrow, minus the composing. And from there, we're going to try to raise money to create a pilot episode to pitch to a much larger studio who you all know of, but I can't say because we're being recorded. So.
And I have a friend that just started his own movie production, Josh Mancuso. Actually, Josh has been in this room with me before. We've done some marketing classes, but Josh is doing that, and it's theme-based, kind of off what other people are doing. And he's right in Johnson City. I'd be happy to give you his contact
Oh
information.
yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome.
But yeah, Josh is top notch. He's done a number of films and commercials. He used to do for a Honda dealer, do commercials in Knoxville. But he's an Emory Henry graduate, from Southwest Virginia, from the region, and lives in Bristol or Johnson City. So you've got my contact information there. If I forget, have the chemo fog issue. but I would like to share his information, and I'd be
Okay.
happy to do an introduction for you.
Can I
Yeah,
interrupt?
that'd be amazing.
You've already got it right.
Yeah.
And that-
This is why it's great to have, to come to workshops
It
and
is.
to come to group events because of the connections you make and you just, all the resources that all these different people have. But you don't carry on.
Well, it's not always about Googling,
Exactly.
it's about
Yeah.
connecting.
Yeah.
Because I can Google all day long or get on Pinterest and find all these ideas, but when I actually start talking with somebody, I don't know, it's the camaraderie of the ideas that you start bouncing.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Sandy.
That's okay, but I'll be happy to hook you up with Josh.
It's
Good
Jason.
morning.
Oh,
Oh, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother's named Josh.
I can't remember what his name is.
He was sensitive about that. You've been called that before, haven't
Yeah.
you? With your brother that,
My
yeah.
older
Not
brother.
Josh.
Look him up on Facebook too, and all those, he's on. Josh Mancuso,
Mancuso.
Mancuso.
Okay,
No, C-O. I've got it.
we'll figure it out.
Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. Good morning. My name is Allison Pollard. I am actually living in Rural Retreat. I'm the new director of the Whitfield and Chamber of Commerce. So I know we're going to be doing another one of these events in Whitfield soon, and just want to learn all the resources for people that are coming in wanting to start new businesses. And then I've been a business owner for the last 9 years. I have a screen print shop in Rural Retreat. If you want to buy it. I'm kind of, yeah, on the second side, yeah, it's like, we're kind of in transition there. I have partners and trying to figure out what to do with that business because unfortunately I can't do both. But yeah, just want to make sure I have all the resources to be able to help people. And I think if I had done this at the beginning of my business, I'm sure it would have helped a lot more.
Well,
So.
better late than never.
Right.
Hi, good morning.
My name is Roger Dodson. I lived in Rockingham for about 5.5 years. I've been on long-term disability, trying to get back to work, so I decided to go business. Once I get into advertising, I'll make good billboards, and we're gonna try to get all the information I can, help them learn how to do business.
Good, good. There's also some special people over there. Do y'all want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jenny. I am Mandy's
Jenny on the
assistant.
block.
Jenny Upgard.
Jenny on the block.
Yes, Jenny
Yeah.
Upgard.
Galax block.
And so generally, if you call the SBDC, I'm the one who answers it. I'm going to talk to you.
And I'm Teresa Catherine, I'm the marketing counselor for the SBC.
Okay. And Becky, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Becky Nave with Virginia Tourism Corporation, and you're going to hear more from me in a few minutes.
Okay. Enough from me. I will turn it over to our host today, Mandy Archer.
Oh, I don't get any, I'm joking.
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
Sandy's the
Yeah.
one that deserved it, 100%. So actually, Jenny and I have obviously been working together for entirely too long because she said what the first, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to say that. She said exactly what I was gonna say when I came up here, which was, no, don't apologize. You're 100% correct that being able to come back together in person does allow you to make those connections. While we are resources for one another, I don't know everything that's in Sandy's mind. I didn't know.
You don't want to be in there either.
Right. I didn't think about ever trying to connect Jason and Josh, or that aspect of it. And so coming together, even as resource providers, to be able to do things like this together helps us help you. So thank you again for coming out and just being with us today. And we're going to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is just the startup aspect of it. Really, what small business development centers concentrate on mostly, which is basically startup of the business. So primarily, what we do within our organization of the small business development centers, yes, we talk about the resources that we can provide, but most people are in need of a business plan. Some of you I know probably worked on it. How many of you have worked on a business plan? Just curious. Yes, yeah, most people have. So if not, what it is this, how does your business start, right? So you have an idea, you need that idea to be, it's usually gonna be a personal passion. You don't necessarily wanna go do something that's kinda like, I just like to cook, but I think that Angel's a chef, right? And she said that, and she's very passionate about it. And she has a way of communicating that. So you have an idea and you have a passion about it, you need to kind of be pulling that together. So what we want to do is we want to help you create a plan associated with that idea. That plan, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, it's a working document, it's a changing document. It's not going to be the same today as it is tomorrow, even though you wish it could be. I usually equate a business plan to a cross-country trip, and if you have all the money in the world and all the time in the world, you don't really need any type of plan of the places you're going to go, right? However, and actually I did this back in June, I took my daughter on a college tour trip. Well, we knew that we had 1 week, we knew we had a certain amount of time that we needed to be back, so we chose which colleges, and we made that trip within 1 week, about 1,700 miles through the New England area. It was great. But luckily I didn't have any breakdowns. Okay? That happens though. So the best laid plan is gonna have a breakdown somewhere within it. And then most of the time, and we're gonna talk about the different parts of that plan here in just a few minutes. The funding is, you have to have money for whatever you're doing. Unfortunately, that's just the part of reality. Money trees don't exist, even though I wish they did, because they would be really nice. So how are you gonna access that? Obviously your personal equity is gonna be the best place that you can, because you don't have to ask anybody else how to use it, however you wanna plan how to use it. But that's not always reality. So whenever you're going to someone else asking them for money for your business idea, they're gonna ask you for that business plan. So you see kind of the circle of life of how it's happening together. And then of course executing it, again, best laid plans, you wanna execute it as much as you can, but you may hit bumps, you may hit personal, some personal bumps, you may hit in the road, you may hit financing bumps, and the world sometimes shuts down and we don't mean for it to. So you have to make those changes accordingly. So why is a business plan necessary? So it's opportunity to share your story with potential lenders or partners. And I should have put that in there, right? So it's telling other people what you're trying to do so that you all can connect together. It is an idea, so you should have stakeholders that work with you and believe in you. Those can be partners, those can be, I'm thinking about, Airbnb. You need to be locally connected to your tourism and maybe even retail shops and other people, because they're your referral source, right? So making sure that other people know what it is. So if you've included that maybe in your business plan, you can communicate that to others. Most business plans are gonna have a 3 to 5 year outlook. That's about as far as you can go, because you never know in that aspect, but it doesn't mean you can't include future plans. I'm sure Jason has a ton of future plans, but that timeline is probably a lot longer than 5 years.
Yes.
Right? Okay? Explaining the company you plan to build, the opportunities to accomplish, how much money you need. So it's kind of all of those things into one document. I'm going to break those down more specifically. And again, most people, I'm going to tell you the number one reason that people develop a business plan is because they need financing. It's not necessarily for their personal usage, it's for the bank's usage. And we encourage everyone to do it, but it's not a requirement. People can open the doors of a business. They can, I think you said farmland, right? You could go buy some animals and put it on there and just kind of see what happens, and that's okay. You can do that. But making sure that you are kind of communicating to other people that you're using their money is going to be a requirement. And then the other part of it that we have found to be actually the most valuable is that when people start writing down their ideas, it creates more information out of your brain, right? We have lots of things that run around in our brain all the time, similar to journaling about your, mental health and emotions and what's going on in your life. The business plan can become a dump document in order to be able to figure out what you're trying to do and what are those goals associated with it. And so one of the things we do try to make sure people know is, it does not have to be perfect when you come in, right? We give you templates, we give you information. We want you to brain them sometimes, because sometimes that's a better way for you to communicate to us, and we'll figure out what is it you're trying to do. Now, when we start asking you questions about it, that's when it gets more into the details. We go, okay, well, explain this to us a little bit more. Help me understand what you're trying to communicate to me in this particular section. Well, how do these things relate? So it's bringing it all together. So it's not a, you know, it's not the 1201 essay in college brained up. It's the working document brained up. Okay. So we do talk about 4 key elements of a business plan: the executive summary, the business description, the financial projections, and the supporting documents. This breaks it down into just a very basic aspect, right? Most of the time your executive summary is actually done last. So even though it's going to come first in your document, it is the thing that's done last, because what you're doing is you're summarizing all of these other things. Your business description is not only about what you want to do, it is also about how you plan to do it. So many times it's about the operation. Do you have key managers that are helping you? Is it just you? What is your experience in that particular industry? Financial projections, I'm going to go over a little bit more detail here in just a moment. And then supporting documentation, anything that helps, especially if you have a lender that's trying to invest into you. So we use, if you're going into some type of business and you have a contract with someone, so Angela, may I pick on you for a moment? Okay, Angela decides that she doesn't have a restaurant yet, but maybe she's gonna do some catering, but she actually works out with a business, maybe a manufacturer locally, to cater for them once a week. Having that in writing, but she needs equipment, so she's going to a bank to ask for that equipment. Having that contract in writing or letter of intent can be a key document to a bank saying, okay, we'll give you the money, because you have worked on already securing business. So that can be one example of supporting documentation. Other examples can be maps, drawings, layouts of your facility. It could be referrals. Anything else on this? Menus. Yeah, contracts. I mean, the possibility is endless as to what is supporting documentation. Also, if you are going to a bank for a loan, just be aware they're going to ask for your tax returns and other things. So while we don't consider that part of the business plan supporting documentation, it is typically part of a lender application. Okay? So are there any questions so far? Just make sure. Okay. I think they gave me 15 more minutes on the agenda. Right, Sandy?
Yeah, what
Okay.
you said.
So let's talk about the business description just a little bit more. We want to talk about, it's basically a holistic explanation of that business concept. Who, what, when, where, why, right? So who knows what an elevator pitch is? All right, elevator pitch is actually your who, what, when, where, and why in the time that you would ride an elevator with someone. So think of that as sort of your very short executive summary. But you want to provide in a document that's going to help you shape your business, other people become interested in your business, lenders support your business. You need to tell them more detailed information, right? What's unique? What is the product or services you're going to offer? So you're going to need to spell out some of the different things. And you can do that in paragraph. You can also do that maybe in bullet points with a little bit of an explanation. There's lots of ways to communicate that. Management organization. This is very important for not only you, but any stakeholders. What is your experience in the particular industry? If you don't have the experience associated with what you're doing, you should be consulting with someone and make sure that they know that. But also, one of the things that we try to take a look at is, even though you may not have been I'm trying to pick on somebody. My Airbnb. May I do that? operated Airbnb. But I'm sure that you've had many other experiences in your life, and you know what brought you there is really what it's about. So a lot of times, any type of management experience can be related to some type of entrepreneurship. So it doesn't have to be an A-to-A relation, just making sure that your stakeholders, potential lenders, have an understanding of how your past may relate to your future, right? Now, maybe you are a learner of things. What's the word? Teresa's my learner. Like if I say, Teresa, I need to know something, a girl will research everything I need to know and give me a cliff notes, right? Maybe that's what you've done, and that's good. Say, hey, you know what? I didn't know anything about it. It started out as a hobby. I figured out how to do it more. The printing, things like that. So I just keep learning about it. I belong to a group. Those are the types of things you want to include. There's also definitely the market research, and there's two different types of market research. There's market research about the industry itself, but then there's also market research about the demand of the product and or service that you are trying to provide. So we're going to talk about the research in just a moment as well. Oh, look, right next. So when we talk about market research, one of the things that anybody that you do need to identify is who is your target market, right? Who are you selling, whatever it is that you're providing? There's typically two types of markets. There's a consumer market, there's a business market. So business to consumer, business to business. Make sense? So these are the types of things we want to make sure that you think about when you're trying to identify that particular business that you're going into. So for business consumer, so if your business is trying to sell to individual consumers, so if you're trying to sell to other people in this room, then you need to make sure that you know what your target age is, where they live demographically, what types of occupations they have, male, female, other, I know that's a lot, earnings, where's their earnings at, level of education, and other details that might be specific to that industry. Well, why do I need to know that? Because you need to know how to market your business. You need to know if there's actually a demand, because there is industry research that will give you information about all of these consumers. So if your target area is only within the Twin County area, just Carroll Grace and Galax, you can pull information about everything else. And you figure out what the potential market size might be. So that's what we talk about when we say figure out who your target market is and what the potential target market is in that area. For business to business, very similar, except you're looking at different industries, right? What type of industry am I marketing to? Where are they located? What size company am I marketing to? Because we need to know how many of those may exist and anything else specific to what you're trying to do. So those should be included in that business plan. Again, when you're marketing, so there's the marketing research of your customer, right? But then there's also the marketing research of the industry itself. And the industry itself can tell you a lot about the potential sales that are available to you. So these are some different resources that we talk about. And most of them, some of them are open to the public. We have access to SBDC-Net, which is a research institute specifically for small business development centers across the U.S., placed in Texas. IBIS World, Vertical IQ, BizMiner, and ProfitSense. All of those, essentially what they do is they're taking industry-based data from tax returns or maybe accounting software. So it goes back to what we call a NAICS code, which is the North American Industry Classification System, NAICS. So whatever industry you're in typically falls within some type of NAICS code, and then that's how these different companies aggregate their information. So in the end, if we pull an IBIS World report, the types of things, while it may be a 50-page report, What I'm gonna be looking for mostly is, maybe the cost of goods, average cost of goods sold for that particular industry, if that's relevant. I may also look for a breakdown of the industry. So if it's a clothing store, a lot of times it will tell me whether it is, women's clothing, men's clothing, what the percentages are of sales associated with that. So we're just trying to pull whatever we can out that you can utilize in your plan. Does that make sense?
So is that, you have to pay for that?
So we actually have access to those for free. So if you're a client of the Small Business Development Center, which now that you've signed up for this workshop, you are, we can do one-on-one counseling and we can pull that information for you. Okay?
And the treasurer's department and the revenue department pulled something from me.
Did they really? Okay.
They pulled something from me just for the area of Grayson.
Okay.
I needed it for something that I was working on there at Gate Center, and they did pull something from me that kind of gave me the breakdown of how many senior citizens was in the area. It broke it down, how many schools were in the area. Now, as far as the age of the children or the students in the school, it didn't do that, but it kind of gave me a narrative, but a layout of what the people was I was dealing with. And the farms, it broke down how many people were farming and how many people were actually working outside the home and that kind of thing. And I got that through the treasurer's department, and they worked with the internal revenue, and I got it within days.
Yeah, so that's a good, I'll be honest, I've never actually told you one to go to their local treasurer's department, but that's a good idea. Ask them, what's the worst they can say? No? I can't pull it for you. But there are lots of opportunities for people to take a look at stuff that you don't need us to do. Becky, is the travel data public information on
Yes.
Virginia tourism?
Yes.
So travel
Yeah.
data is public information. If you're going into anything that's tourism based, I highly recommend using that resource.
Yeah, and if you don't find it on there, if you're looking for something specific that we don't already have on there, reach out to us and ask for it, because we may have it. We try to put, I guess, the general things on there.
Right.
Yep.
And I've done that myself. I have reached out to their researchers on
Yep.
more than one occasion and said, I need information about X, Y, Z, and they'll send me what they have. So lodging information, tax numbers, anything. And these are just some examples. This is not every point of research. If you're in a particular industry, like film industry, they've got trade organizations that probably have information, right? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Well, and we also are the Virginia Film Office, so maybe we can also help you in any connections or any conversations you need. I can connect you with our staff, and yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the most interesting ones for me, and I actually really love this one, I don't know why, it's weird, is the traffic count. So, a lot of people don't know that you can actually get traffic count for almost any road in Virginia. I would say, is it any road? So if you're gonna be opening a
Public road.
brick and mortar store, right, or a brick and mortar location, and you're gonna rely on traffic passing by to see you, understanding what that traffic count is for that particular road is pretty vital for any type of business plan. So it's just an interesting tidbit. We can help you access that. VDOT has kind of started burying that a little bit on their site, but it's still free and accessible. Use that fine. So again, this is an overview, so I'm probably gonna talk a little bit faster so that I can give Becky time to talk next. But financial projections are gonna be broken down into these main categories, okay? We do call it sources and uses. However, that's really what your startup or expansion cost is gonna be. So how much is it gonna cost you to open, expand, start what you're doing? Now, remember we said 3 to 5 years is your typical time frame that you're looking at, but you may have further down the line plans. This sources and uses should be for that 3 to 5 years. It should not be for your 10-year plan, okay? So sources are where are you getting the money from? Is it coming from your pocket? Are you trying to find a loan for it? Do you have other access to financial support? That type of thing. Uses is what is it going to, right? Is it going for equipment? Is it going for marketing? Is it operating costs? Is it repairs? Whatever that might be. An income statement is very similar to a personal budget. If you're a new business, it's a projected income statement. Now, I could probably talk for another 30 minutes about how to figure out your revenue. I'm not going to do that. That's what one-on-one counseling is for, okay? But as far as an income statement, think about it in the sense of I have a monthly budget. I make $500 a month and I have $500 in expenses and I need to figure out how to balance that. That's what an income statement is. The cash flow statement is the same thing almost, but it keeps a running track of any pluses and minuses. So it's more like your checkbook. It's the actual, what you have on hand right at that moment. A balance sheet is what we call a click or a photo of what your assets and liabilities are right at that point. And of course, your break-even point is how much do you need to make in order to be able to, not that cup of coffee. Yeah, that kind of thing. 100% honest, most of the time when we're doing new business plans, unless a banker asks for it, we mostly stick with sources and uses and cash flow statement. That is because it gives them what they need right at that moment. Now, sometimes if it's a much larger business, they're needing a lot more money, $150,000 or more, then the bank may ask for those other documents and we'll help you do those at that time. Where do you get the money? We are going to have, we're supposed to have one of our partner lenders here. He was having some, oh look, speak of the devil.
Yeah. You couldn't plan that any better.
He's going to be talking about some money later. He might have just had to spend some money on a tire. I don't know. But where do you get money? We'll let Shane introduce himself when his time comes. He's from People Incorporated. Thank you. So traditional bank loans obviously are the number one place that, just to be honest, we're going to send you is traditional. SBA guarantee loans. People call and they go, I want an SBA loan. SBA does not do direct loans to you as a business. They work through intermediaries or they guarantee loans at a bank. So when you go to a bank for that traditional loan, you may qualify for the loan, but the bank may go, we're just not 100% sure. They're going to go to SBA and they're going to say, we like this deal, they meet your requirements, but we're still a little unsure. Will you guarantee us a percentage of that money? The bank guarantees, or SBA guarantees the bank. It's different than microloans, which I'm sure Shane's going to talk about, so I'm going to skip over that. But that's, microloans are direct from intermediaries such as People Incorporated, which is right there, Virginia Community Capital. I think y'all do over 50,000, but less than 150. On the
We don't do below 150
okay.
and everything above to.
Okay.
I think 7 million's the highest.
Okay, so everybody kind of has their sweet spot depending on what type of lender they are. I did put grant, very rare. Okay, very, very rare. The reason, VCTA is a economic development organization out in the coal fields that does do grants for small businesses. We do not have that program here. Don't say never, ever, ever, but we do not specialize in that. And so we typically direct you to other sources. Now, what I'm going to say is certain types of businesses, a tourism business, Becky's going to talk about what types of programs they have that you may be able to have after you're in business. Okay? The only reliable source that I will tell you about is grants.gov. If somebody tries to charge you money in order to be able to get you a grant, it is likely a scam. So please be careful. Obviously, your personal savings or other types of, money sources. Family, friends, you can ask them if they'd be willing to invest in you, but they may want to see a business plan, right? Venture angel funds. Venture angel funds is a terminology typically used for high-tech businesses or larger scale, not your what we call mom and pop type of business in here. We do not have a venture fund here locally. The closest angel capital or angel investor fund, I think, is in Blacksburg, and they do concentrate on basically technology, but just letting you know that. There is always the option of crowdfunding. I am not an expert in crowdfunding. My personal, they're going to be charged to you. Okay, that's just personal. But if you're willing to do that, it's an option. Recently, we have had some crowdfunding information sessions through our state office. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out and I'll be happy to refer you to those particular webinars and recordings.
And they just had their webinar on that today.
Yeah, I think they're having one today. So, and because of the nature of business now and the nature of the information we deliver, I think we record almost everything and upload it in some place. So if you miss it, you probably can still watch it at your convenience. This actually goes back to the supporting documentations associated with the business plan itself. We talked about like your incorporation documents, the industry research that you've done. If you have supporting, now I'm not saying include the 100 pages of research. However, if there's something that stands out of anything that you've pulled, obviously include that, because I'm going to tell you what, your lenders are using those same sources that we're using, like that IBIS World and stuff, to figure out the industry information. If you've registered with Department of Taxation, maps, photos, if you're asking a lender for money, you're going to want to make sure to include any types of photos or print off from an online source about the type of equipment you're asking for. Menus, price lists, like I said, I put research again, and there's anything that that you think will help with that financing. And then really quickly, just what type of other options do you have? So the term gig economy, I don't know if you've heard it, yes or no. Gig economy is what we would consider contractor work from before. So you have contractors and you have employees. Gig economy, think about it, really started with the, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, those types of things. In some ways, Airbnb could be considered a gig economy in a way a little bit, although you're the one in the middle of it. But essentially, it's a side gig is what you're doing. You can also do freelancing work through other websites. So if you're thinking about getting into something and it's already out there somewhere else, maybe you work through someone else just to see if you can create some type of following. One of the things we want to make sure, is your business a hobby or is it a new business or is it just a hobby? So people they come into our office and they want to become a legal business because they're doing, whatever it might be. But it's not their full-time job. And let's use maybe woodworking, maybe a good example. Somebody's a woodworker. They do it on the side. They come in, they go, hey, I need to be a legal business. Well, there's actually IRS rules that associate whether you are a legal business or a hobby. Sometimes it's better to stay a hobby for a little while, even though you don't get the tax breaks. Because the reason is then you don't have to necessarily track everything in the same way. So you still have to report the income. You still have to pay taxes on it. You don't get to take the deductions, but you maybe don't have as stringent rules and you can kind of go to where you want when you want, right? So thinking about, but a lot of businesses, a lot of hobbies turn into a business. So that's where all of that kind of comes together. Starting your business on the side while you have a full-time job, if you're able to do that, or you have other revenue or income coming into you, is the best way, if at all possible. And the reason being is because lenders, the bottom line is they want to know how they're going to get paid back. Or you need to make sure you're able to pay your regular monthly bills and not depend on that business for the self-payment, right? At least not in the beginning. Because most of the time it takes about 1 to 2 years, sometimes even more, to be able to actually really pay yourself after you've gotten the business going. So again, free of charge confidential services for the Small Business Development Center. The other centers, Southwest Virginia Community College, Virginia Highlands Community College, Mountain Empire Community College, and Blue Ridge Crossroads, we are all part of the Southwest small business development centers. And we will be coming over to, like I said, we'll be going over to Whitville, so if you know anybody else that wants to join us. And we do partner, I think, Sandy, you have some of those resources towards the end of the presentation, like PTAC, if I remember right. So we do receive funding through the Small Business Administration, as well as our, basically every center is supported differently, but the SBA is where we get funding, or at least half of our funding. We do partner with other resources as much as we can. If you go on SBA's website, you're going to see a long list of supported organizations like SCORE, Women's Business Centers, Veteran Assistance Centers. Because of being such a rural area, not everything is available everywhere. So you do, so like with SCORE, I think the closest counselor might be Asheville or something like that. However, not to my knowledge. But they have great resources online as well. So I encourage you to take a look at our partner resources to be able to say, okay, well, if I can't find it here, is it here? And that can be for any of those partner organizations that the SBA supports in that sense, okay? I'm only 7 minutes over.
Oh, I see, you have a clock. I wonder, how'd she know?
I know, right there. I'm going to go ahead. Is there any die-hard questions right now? Or okay. I'm going to go ahead and I think, Becky, you're up next. Go ahead and come in and talk about marketing. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. So, good morning, everybody. As I've introduced myself earlier, I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit and tell you a little bit about what I do. My name is Becky Nave, and I'm with Virginia Tourism Corporation. And I serve as a Senior Development Specialist for the Southwest region. You have my business card there on the table, as well as some information that we're going to go over in a few minutes. But I'm super excited to be here today and for this program to be launched again. Been part of it for many years, and I really hope that you'll take away some information today that's going to be helpful if you're thinking about starting your business or expanding it. And I'm going to talk about marketing plan basics. Mandy talked about the business plan, which does have that marketing part in it, but I'm going to talk about the separate just marketing plan. And while some of it is kind of repetitive information, a little bit of it, it's important that you keep these key things in mind when you're writing your marketing plan. And so after today, we're going to go through a lot of information today. We're throwing a lot at you. So if you have questions, want to follow up, please know that I'm here in the region also to help you as well as the other partners. So you've got a host of cheerleaders that are on your team. So when you're developing your marketing plan, one of the things that you need to think about is the 4 Ps of marketing. Start thinking about what is your product? What product do you have? Is it a service or is it a product? Think about the price. How much are you going to sell this for? Do you have that in mind? And I find a lot of times we try to either sell it too cheap because we want to sell enough of it, or we don't really think that through. So make sure you're thinking, if it's a service or if it's a product, you're really thinking about the price of your product. And that's one of the hardest things I find that people struggle with when they're working with that. Place, where is the product going to be sold? Are you a storefront? Are you online? Or is it a service that you take to the customer? All things you need to think about. And then finally, promotion. What are you doing to market your product? And that's what we're going to talk about and kind of help you strategically think through it. Because without a marketing plan, you don't have a roadmap for your marketing. And I don't know about you all, how many of you all have that huge nest egg of money to spend on it? That's usually the answer I get. And so you've got to really think through now with having the internet, at the tip of our fingers, and a lot of other opportunities, not just the internet. We're going to kind of talk through those inexpensive ways, and then also some other ways that if you do have some marketing funding, where's the best place to put that? And I will try not to stand right in front of this. So we're going to go through on the marketing plan on what are you trying to accomplish, who is your target audience. Mandy talked some about that, so I'm going to hit a little bit more, kind of change what I was saying and add on to that. What message will move your audience? What vehicles do you have to deliver your message? Sorry, am I standing right in your way? Okay, and then what are your resources? And then how will you measure your performance and success? So, Mandy mentioned earlier about the executive summary of the business plan. It's the same way with the marketing plan. While it's going to be your first couple of pages, you may not write it till you're done. You may do your whole plan, and then you finish up with this, even though it will go in the front. So, again, the executive summary is the short summary of your business, and then your mission and vision statement for your business. And then think about, okay, what are we trying to accomplish? What are you trying to accomplish with this marketing plan? Are you a brand new business that's wanting to start out and you're trying to think of ways that you can get your name out there? Are you already in business, but you're going, okay, I need to, expand. I'm already doing some things that haven't been working, or maybe they are working. You're looking at ways to expand. Maybe you've got a new product that you want to launch. So there's a whole number of reasons, and you may have different parts of this marketing plan at different points to think about. But think about the purpose of why you're creating the plan. And another thing I think of is maybe you just want to increase visits to your Facebook page. How are you going to do that? Increase visits to your website, or increase likes to your Facebook page. So as we're thinking through this and going through, you can pull out different sections and really concentrate on those areas. I'm going to give you some examples of these in a few minutes. So Mandy touched on this, on who is your target audience. And this is going to be huge based on for your marketing plan. You've got to know who you're marketing to. I always use the example at Virginia Tourism, we are constantly launching a number of different campaigns. And many people will say, well, I never see them. Well, we're trying to get people to come to Virginia. So a lot of people in Virginia don't always see them because we don't market in our own state to get, where I'm on the line, you may get them depending on some of your networks if it's for another state, because we do market in North Carolina, and you may get some of those stations. But every once in a while, we'll get one of our commercials. But we really think through, who is this campaign for, who will we trying to attract, and then where are they at? How are we going to attract them? And so we did a campaign called Wonder Love last year. And with that campaign, we were focused on getting weekend travelers, people to come through, really focusing on those key spots you have in town, those need to see, whether it's a love sign or maybe a historic place that you have or an attraction that people would like to visit. But we focused on weekenders, we focused on families, because during COVID, people were doing, those short trips, but staying within their region or staying within the area. And so we were trying to draw people in just for weekends. So thinking through what that looks like, and then again, the age group that we were focused on for that was mainly, it was like millennials and up, and people that we know will be traveling and going places for the weekend. All data driven, all based on our research. So make sure when you're starting any type of marketing campaign, no matter, not as big as ours, it can be as small as whatever, it's just for a community base. But at the end of the day, it's all the same information that you need to have. And so when you when you're looking at your target audience, are they going to, are the people that you're going after, are they the ones that are on Facebook? You know, a lot of people are on Facebook, so is that a way? We're going to talk more about social media in a minute, but, or if it's an older demographic, you know, are they going to be on Facebook? You know, most people are, but you have some groups that aren't. So kind of thinking through who's going to be there and how to attract them. You can also find out if you're already in business. You can look at some Google Analytics or your Facebook Analytics and see who's on your page already. See who's liking it, who liked it, and who's already visiting your website or who's already on your page. Because that's going to give you an idea of who your market is or who's interested in you already. And it could be give you some ideas of people you haven't even thought of yet. You also need to think about your current, like today, who's your customer, who are you going after, but also in the future, you know, if you want to expand and maybe you're looking at a certain area in your target audience, you may want to expand it at some point and go, no, I'm going, you know, nationwide or international or whatever, but also consider the future when you're thinking about it. You also need to think about your competitors because no matter what, you have competitors somewhere out there. I've never heard anybody that say I don't have one competitor. There may not be somebody that does exactly what you do, but you have competitors. So look and see what they're doing. You know, go to their websites, go to their Facebook page, go check them out. And I was writing down a lot of your businesses and business, what you're thinking about doing, if you're going into business or if you're expanding your business ideas. So it seems like I think everybody in the room could do this type of research and looking at who are your competitors. You probably already know them. And then one thing I will say, when you're searching and looking, they don't have to know it either. They're probably doing the same thing to you. So you can go into the incognito mode. And I do that all the time, especially if I'm searching for a vacation or airline tickets or something. Because if you go into the incognito mode, they can't trace you. And so I don't know if you've ever tried to search for airline tickets or a ticket to something. And then you go back later and go, well, I just saw that on there. It was $200 and some round trip. Then you go back later the next day, that same IP address, if you're not incognito mode, it'll go up. And it'll keep going up every time you log in. So it's the same. But if you don't want them to trace you, that's another way you can go back and kind of look and see who your competitors are. So shop your competition. Review their products. Do a SWOT on them. You know, you should already be doing that on yourself. You know where your strengths are, your weaknesses, what opportunities are out there, maybe even threats. But figure it out also. Look at your competition. Because the weaknesses may be an area that you can slide in on, you know, to get the customer to you. And then think about your market strategy. And with that, you know, you can look for updates, sign up for their updates, sign up, go like their page where you're getting all their stuff consistently to keep it top of mind for you, and to also with your market strategy, you can kind of think through including the data that I'm getting confused on this. When you get the data from the businesses that you're looking at, the competitors, then you can also look back on that as you move forward. Does that make sense? So as you get ahead, you can go back and look and say, as you know, months ago they had this many likes on their page or whatever with your competitors. Sorry about that. And then how will you deliver your message? How many of you all already have a website? Okay. Yeah, one. So with your website, as you're developing it, just remember to make it user-friendly. You want it to be also, check it out on your mobile phone. Make sure it looks good on your mobile phone. Because if not, it's going to, if I try to find somebody and it doesn't show up right on my phone or it's too confusing, I give up. So, and you all probably experienced that, and you can think of a business that that's happened with. And so, it's not that hard to do. So make sure with a website, you're getting it built, you're making it simple, you're making it easy to use, and you're making it to where people just don't look at it and then leave. And sometimes with a business, when I've worked with several small businesses and they're starting out, they get really, it's like nervous when they're thinking about the website. You know, it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, or I don't know where to even go for that, or I don't have the money in my budget for that. So just something to consider. Make sure that you're keeping it very simple. And then search engine optimization. So this is a question that comes up a lot, and people ask, how can I rank higher when I'm in those SEOs, and what can I do to increase that? And so one of the things we talk about a lot is Google, and ideas on Google, either through Google Ads or ways that you can help get yourself higher in the searches. And if you all have ever searched anything, you know, a lot of times there'll be a couple of things that pop up at the top that you can see clearly are advertisements. You know, they have put the ad in there, and they've paid for that. And that may be a consideration at some point. Or you can try to do it organically. And that's through offering and putting the more content that you have out there, the more places they can find you, is going to keep you, the algorithms, keep you moving up in it. So, for example, a blog. So with a blog post, if you produce blog content, this is something we do at Virginia Tourism. On our Facebook page, we will post a blog with top 5 things to do in Galax or wherever. And you could do something similar. You know, what are the top 5 things for your business, or need to knows, or just something that captures attention. And then when they click on that and they go to your blog, and you can continue then to create content that capture their attention and keep them coming back. So the more you do it, the more you're going to continue to be in that rhythm. Also and I'll mention it in just a few minutes, with Virginia Tourism, we also have we offer a free listing, and you can have your business listed for free on our website, and that also is going to help you rise further up in that search. Public relations, you're like, well, I don't have enough money to hire a PR firm or hire somebody to do my PR. You can be that PR person. Write your own press release, interview yourself. You are the expert, and so interview yourself, put your own quotes in your PR release, and send it out. You know, there's not a guarantee that it's going to get in the paper or get published, but a lot of times it will. So you can do your own PR release about your business. Trade shows is another good opportunity. Email marketing. Email marketing is something that I feel like is still huge. We still do it at Virginia Tourism. And then also you can start your database of collecting those emails and with your customers. Or you can work with your chamber if you joined your Chamber of Commerce and even buy their list. You know, there's different ways you can do it depending on your market and where you want to be. And then rack cards. So with rack cards, really consider doing a rack card. So many people will say, nobody's using print anymore. They're only doing everything digital. Well, our Welcome Center staff will tell you different. There you go. There's a rack card right there. There you go. She's going to hand them out. Good example. While we're talking about rack cards.
Did you pay her?
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
I'm part of her PR.
I queued her
I am
up.
part of
That's
her
right.
PR.
That is a great entrepreneur right there. So with this rack card, and that's a wonderful idea. Can I see one for a second? Yeah. So with this, with the Gate Center, and is that what you say, or do you say it out, G-A-T-E, or do you just
It's
say
a Gate Center, because
Okay.
Gate stands for Grayson Agriculture and Technology.
Yeah, and you've got something on here we'll talk about. So that's what I want to look at. I'll give it back to you. Oh, okay. So These are really important. And with our welcome centers, they will tell us over and over again, and the research has told us, the data has told us, our visitors have told us, they still like a rack card. And they will walk into our Virginia welcome centers from wherever and say, hold up their phone and say, do you have anything on this place? And it's like, we have the same thing you have on there, but they want that. And they've also said if they have a rack card and maybe they're sending you to, there's 2 barbecue spots or 2 vineyards or whatever, and they have a rack card for one of them, they're going to go to the one they have the rack card for. So these are still super great. And then also, I love how you have the QR code on there. QR codes have really, especially during the pandemic, because no one was wanting to touch anything. So even your restaurants, you would go, my husband would get so mad. He didn't want to take out his phone, take a bit. He just wanted to look at the menu, and I'd always have to bring it up. I was like, it's not that hard. But he was like, I don't have a scanner. I was like, you just need to get out your camera. But anyway, after we got through that, now more people than ever, my point is, more people than ever are using QR codes, even if they didn't. After the pandemic, we're using them more than ever because we didn't want to touch things that everyone has touched. So that's a great call to action on there. And I think also you can put that on your business card. And I'm sitting here saying that, and my business card doesn't have it on it. But there's some other call to actions on the back of my business card that sends you to our social sites, websites, YouTube, that give you those website addresses. So rack cards, I'm still a big fan of.
They're not that expensive either, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because I got 1,000 for $90 and some odd cents.
Yeah,
It wasn't expensive.
that's a great price, and that's
No, the young
It's
lady that does our website,
Okay.
she put them together for me, so I don't know where she got them.
I mean, and it's this is good stock paper. I mean, it's a very quality rack card, so that's great. And I love how and this is not a workshop on how to design your rack card, but I will share this real quick because I see this and it drives us crazy if I go into welcome centers and I see this. So you see how when at the top it says the name and like has a building. So as I think about when you're developing it, it fits in a rack, right? So as it sits in a rack, you're probably going to see from here up. So you want to make sure it's something that's like a picture that captures my eye or something, and you can tell the name of the business. So a very good job on that. I like that. So when you're thinking about all these things you want to buy, you need to also create a marketing budget. So we talked about it a few minutes ago. We all don't have a huge nest egg to spend on marketing. So you've really got to find out the most effective way you can market to the customers you're wanting to reach. And it could be I've had some people that said, I've got $500, I'm starting a business, that's all I can afford to do right now. And so as we go through, you can really look at, okay, the most effective way, it goes back to what's your objective and what's your goal in creating this marketing plan. I really want to increase my Facebook likes and get my business out on social media more, out on Facebook. So by doing that, maybe then I'm going to boost ads. I don't have a lot of money, but I could increase my Facebook likes. I've only got $500, so what can I do? I'm going to spend so much per day. And they're so good. It's so easy to do. If any of you all have done this yet, but now you can break it down to, male, female, certain area, an age group, all kinds of things, the interest. And so it can really be helpful, and they make it really easy for you to do. And it's not that expensive. And we're going to talk more in just a minute, and we'll run out of time before I get halfway through. But we're going to talk more in just a minute on some opportunities you can have with us on that. And then I wanted to, friends and family. So if you don't have a huge marketing budget, you may have friends and family that can help you. If there's anybody that's in your house or if you have niece, nephews, grandchildren, cousins, something, probably 5 and up, they can help you. My grandson's 3, and he can run circles around me on an iPad. So I mean, it's amazing. But you can get help with that, and also interns. We've got a lot of colleges in the area. They're looking for opportunities for internships that can help you with doing some of the marketing.
High schools actually even have programs too.
That's awesome. Okay.
For high school, at least even, I know that Galax High School, their CTE, they have like a marketing advertising, and
Mhm.
they hope for a few businesses.
And Grayson does too.
Grayson, just a few, they can't take on 100,
Yeah.
but they can take on a few really small ones that can help with a brochure design, very simple websites and things like that.
Fantastic, fantastic. So right there, you've got opportunities in your area of people that can help you with your business. You just got to reach out and ask.
It's free.
And it's free. No one gets mad if it's free, right? I mean, you're not going to fuss and say, I want to pay you. Yeah, well, they do, yeah. You're like, well, do you want your money back? No, I'm just kidding. You didn't pay anything. Okay, also, you may hire somebody that already has these skills, or you as the owner have them. Partnerships, you may want to look at doing some co-op marketing and working with other businesses, or maybe even your local tourism office or your local chamber of commerce, and do some co-op marketing. That's where you can all go in together to buy an ad, and you each get a section on that ad. That could be an opportunity. There's some government assistance that Mandy mentioned earlier, and then business associations, and also groups like the SBDC, and even this group we have here today doing the Entrepreneur Express. So make sure you're taking advantage and really clicking in, and Sandy's going to talk a lot more about the other resources that you have available in the area after I get done or later. So how will you measure your performance? You're going to want to find out if what you're doing is working. So you've got to make sure that you have got some way to measure it. So I was talking earlier about you're doing a campaign to boost your likes on Facebook. You can easily see if that's working. I mean, that's a way you could go and say, have we done it? We've been boosting now for 3 months. Has it been working or not? So looking at it that way. You can do surveys for people coming into your business. How did you hear about us? Where are you coming from? You could do surveys of everybody that you do business with. And then just informal questioning with people, having those conversations. We already talked about the QR codes. Geofencing, that is where you can target an area, a specific area that you want to capture data and capture through their mobile phone, or through mobile data. We are doing this at Virginia Tourism, and we are doing geofencing around every airport, just to see where people are coming and then where they're going, what they're looking for.
And is that where you go in and do that analysis on your phone, or how do you do that geofencing?
Well, you would have to set it up. It's through, gosh, I'm trying to think. I can let you know. Actually, we've got a thing that gives you like the step-by-step, so I will pull it up and let you know. Okay. And give you that.
Where do you get a QR code?
Again, you can do a QR code generator. It's another app, or it's a app, or you can go to the website and generate it. We can also kind of walk you through that and show you how to do that.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah.
Because we're going to share this presentation with you afterwards.
It's actually available to you if you scan the QR code that's on your agenda. So the PDF, you can access a PDF version of today of the slides.
Oh, okay.
It's there on the. All you have to do is take a picture of it with your phone.
I got you.
But we'll do a follow-up since that's a question.
Right
We'll
here.
do a
Yeah.
follow-up,
See ya.
You can write me up for not reminding you, but I want to see your too.
And I'm going to send you the stuff on the geofencing too. We'll include that,
Yeah,
so
like
you all
that
know
as
how to
well.
do it.
Yeah.
There's actually several websites that you can set up QR codes.
Do you pay for them?
No, that's free. All you do is copy and
Yeah.
paste the link and then throw it into the generator and it'll poof
Give you a
right
QR
there.
code.
Takes seconds.
Yeah.
And you downloaded that picture of that photo.
There are some that I've noticed have started saying you only get up to 150 or so, so we'll make sure we share the ones that are unlimited type thing.
Sorry, we took you down that rabbit
No, no,
trail.
no. And then, websites and, social analytics, you're gonna have to, you're really gonna wanna keep an eye on that to see how many people are coming to your website, where they're coming from. And, you know, some of those key performance indicators will help you in really keeping an eye on those analytics for that. A lot of times, that's important. I know we watch that, at Virginia Tourism all the time. They're all the time telling us, you know, this worked really well when we posted this. It really caused our viewers to go way up, and we watch it every day. So if you need help on that, that is something else that we can kind of walk you through, and could be another workshop actually. Okay, branding. So branding is extremely important. Think about your branding for your business. And remember, it's just not, and it says it there, it's more than a logo. It becomes your identity. It becomes that feeling. When people see your brand, they automatically have a feeling about how they think about that brand. And of course, I put some big ones up here, and we could even go out here and get some local ones that you all know and love, or maybe don't love. But, you know, what, without the wording even being there, what's the first one?
Target.
Target. The second one?
Apple.
Apple. And the third one?
Newports.
Newports.
And so, with these, you know, our goal with all of your businesses is to be that most recognized brand. You know, one day many years ago, they were all startups too, right?
Well, who came up with the Virginias for Lovers?
Well, that came up, it was established in the late 1967 by our marketing agency at the time, the Martin Agency. And then we launched, they came up with it because we were wanting to promote a wedding in Virginia, apparently. And so they did an ad then in the spring of 1968 and did a Virginia's for Lovers. And it was for like a wedding picture. And they went and got a bunch of students from William and Mary to be in the ad. And it's funny, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Virginia's for Lovers 3 years ago now. And several of the people that were in that ad actually live in Southwest Virginia. They were in school there. And they were like, that's us. So we brought them up to our big state conference and put up that ad. And it was really a neat thing. But yeah, so it was all started by that. They didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And then it just took off.
Yeah.
And it's now one of the most recognized brands out there.
It is.
So,
because I
yeah.
went to Rome and they said, where are you from? And I said, Virginia. And the first thing out of their mouth was, oh, yeah, that's for the lovers.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they just connect
Yeah.
us now with that.
Yeah. And I get that a lot. It's like, well, what does that mean? You know, and it means, well, Virginia is for lovers of all things. Like, and it's also when you can come to Virginia and do the things you love with the people you love. So there's a lot of ways that you can tie that in. So then we started adding sub-brands. It got so popular, we ended up adding some sub-brands to it, being Virginia's for music lovers, Virginia's for outdoor lovers, Virginia's for mountain lovers,
Wine lovers.
Virginia's for wine lovers, Virginia's for craft beer lovers, I mean, you name it. Virginia's for film lovers. So we've got, you know, a lot of now sub-brands that are used. Bluegrass, that's another one that's used here. Virginia's for bluegrass lovers. So anyway. And then you've got your traditional methods of marketing, you know, the direct mail. And it's really funny how we got away from people didn't want mail. Millennials love mail.
Yeah.
Millennials love to get mail because they went through that phase where we didn't want mail. So now we're starting to get mail, it seems, all the time. Then also regular sales and promotions you may do locally. You may want to do, I mean, there's special little promotions you could do. You could also, if you're a tourism-related business, work with our welcome centers to offer, we do like this little promotion where you can do a little piece of the desk at the Virginia Welcome Center. It's $25 for, I think it's a month, and you can do a promo for your business or for something right there on the counter. So, I mean, there's little things, big things, all kinds of things you can do. We could talk about promotions for a long time. Referrals are huge. Ask people to, send you referrals and then thank them. So how many of you all have got something from somebody at one time for referring a customer?
Well, when I had my bakery, my florist, I used to say if you'll refer someone, you get a 10% off on any products.
Yep.
You know.
Yep, that's a great idea. I referred somebody to my car salesman, and he sent me a gas gift card. Well, that gas gift card wasn't, now it put like a gallon in my tank. I still appreciate it. It I'd have been big then, whenever they bought them. But anyway, but it was still the thought, right? But I think that's huge. Phone calls, we probably, I don't know if that one still works as much, because if I get a bunch of calls, I just block it, and my car warranty's expired, and I didn't know it even had warranty, but anyway. And then you have, we've already talked about the brochures, rack cards, business card with a call to action, and we've talked about the importance of having that call to action on your business card. Digital marketing, again, we've talked about the website and making it user-friendly and making it mobile-friendly, making it to where people can navigate through that. Your customers can find things on your website and not get frustrated. Keep it up to date. There's nothing worse than going to a website and it not being up to date. Email marketing, you could use one of the tools that's out there today. Gosh, my mind, and I don't have the fog like you were talking about, but I'm having it today. You could use like MailChimp. That's what I was trying to think. Or MailChimp, or one of the email marketing companies. It's easy to use. I've used it before in order to house all your marketing emails and then send them out in groups. And then you can also make it to where it can also follow up with new customers. And that can be helpful. Again, electronic ads, if you want to do some type of ad on any type of social media, Google, mobile and text messaging. That's another way. Have your customers sign up. There's a way they can sign up, and then you can send out ads or 10% off this weekend. And we all have those. And we sign up for those to get a discount. And then social media. We're going to talk just a minute about social media. So there's all types of social media. You want to go, if you can only do one, or you can only handle a couple, you want to make sure you're using the social media that's a target for your customers, who your target customer is. So where are your customers at? Which one are they using? If depending on who it is or what the service or product is, and depending on their age group, they may or may not be on TikTok. If you're looking, especially, I like TikTok too, but especially like even the millennial age group, that's probably going to be where you're going to find them. How many of you all use TikTok?
Like use, just watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah. We've started using it like crazy. So if you get on TikTok and look us up, Visit Virginia, and as we're coming through different areas, we do a lot of TikToks to promote that area, and that has grown. I forget the last number, but it was way, way up in the thousands and thousands, and it grew very quickly. But figure out which one works for you. Is it Facebook? Is it YouTube? Maybe you have, and also if you have a product that you're trying to demonstrate how you need to use that product, you could do a short video on YouTube, talking about your product. I YouTube everything. It doesn't matter what it is, I look it up on YouTube. Usually you will find the answer on there. It's crazy. Also Pinterest, depending again on your product or service. But just figure out, the main point with this is figure out where your customers are at, and that's where you want to be, and where your target customer goes. Have a marketing calendar. schedule your post. You can sign up and get like a network, Hootsuite's what I've used before, and schedule your post for the entire week. And that way you're not spending every day doing it. But keep a marketing calendar. I would do one monthly or every couple of months and figure it out. That way you're just not like, when did I post the last time? And you're also not flooding me to where I just don't watch your post anymore because there's so much of it.
You said you said you use Hootsuite?
Hoot. Hootsuite.
Okay.
Hootsuite. It's what I've used before. And there's also some other ones. There's Social Sprout. What's some other ones?
Canva has a scheduler.
Canva. There's a ton out there. Later, there's a ton of them out there that you
Meta.
can use. That Hootsuite was very easy and to use and set up. And that way you could set it up to say, I want it to go on my Facebook, my Instagram, and Twitter, or whatever it is you choose. And this is what I want it to go. This is the time I want to schedule it for. You know, and so you can sit down a Sunday afternoon and schedule all your posts for that week. And so that's going to be, honestly, take an hour and do that. That way you're not spending the week trying to do that. And then also trying to figure out when you posted last, you've got your calendar. You know, today or this week we're doing this. So that calendar is super important for sharing content. Customer service, I could spend, as you all know, this is my favorite thing, but spend a week on this. This is very important. All I can say is if you treat your customers right, you want to give them good service, you want them to come back, you want them to let them know you appreciate them. It's another key thing that you make sure you're monitoring your social pages and you're responding. If you have them on there complaining about something about your business, or maybe they're not complaining, maybe it's something good and they're giving you kudos for something good, make sure you reply. Follow up with that. It's just good customer service. But make sure your employees know how important this is your bread and butter. This is how you make your house payment, your car payment. And so it's important that they treat your customers well and they keep coming back. So, and I would train, if I had a business, I would make sure all of my employees were trained with customer service, whether I did it myself or made them watch a video or something, you know, but stress that because they're just there to collect their paycheck a lot of times and they don't care if you make your house payment next month, if that person comes back, you know, so make sure.
That was one of the things at Blackbird Bakery. I was there in Tennessee yesterday. They've been in business 14 years now. And they've got a big article in the Bristol Herald Courier about that.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that their biggest thing that made them through the COVID was that right there.
Yep.
That's what pulled them through. And all their staff in there that kind of does the service of people.
Yes.
Are real young.
Yes.
And when I saw that, when I walked in there, I'm thinking, oh, young people not going to be here.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I made that assumption. But they said that they train them, that the consistency, the attitude and all that is so important, and they realize it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They've even got it to where they've opened 2 locations.
Yeah, they have 2 locations now,
Yeah.
one on Commonwealth and then the one
Yeah.
right downtown.
Yeah, on
Bristol.
Piedmont.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing they do is they do a lot of community engagement, community service, get involved in the community. And that's another thing that shows up. As a community business owner, you know, your community wants to support you, but if they see you out giving back and supporting that community, it makes you want to work with them even more, you know. Mandy's already covered the elevator pitch, so I won't go into that. I'll just say, always have your elevator pitch ready. We went around the room earlier and you all told what you wanted to do or what you're already doing. So you've already kind of got your elevator pitch. But if you're wondering, okay, I'm not sure exactly what I need to say or the structure, like what needs to go in it, this is in the presentation that you get a copy of it with your QR code, or do they have a copy of it there
No,
they can scan?
The QR code
Yeah,
out
so
here.
if you scan the QR code, you'll have this, or ask me and I can send it to you if you need it. Real quickly, how am I on time? Am I over?
All right, we
Yeah, but-
will take a break.
Okay, I'm gonna go real quick. I just wanna share with you all the top 13 services. We've got a bazillion services. I'm not gonna bore you. You're like, oh Lord, we're gonna go through all those. Well, I promise you we're not. You've got a paper on your desk, on your chair in front of you, on the table in front of you, with the top 13 services. And, for Jason,
Yes.
you'll see the bottom right has the Virginia Film Office, how to learn about filming in Virginia. And also, if you're interested in submitting a film location, photography, a community that to be considered, how to get connected with us, you go to filmvirginia.org. So just wanted to point that one out. But there's a ton of information on this paper from our digital marketing, our PR, talking about our brand, that I would encourage you to take a look at. One of the things I do want you to pay attention to, on the right side it says grant and funding sources. So we have a new grant that's going to be launching August 4th. We don't even have our handouts ready for it, but I'm going to tell you about it. It's going to be for small businesses. It's the first time we've ever done a grant for small businesses. And it's for doing promotional marketing, $5,000. If you are a tourism-related business. So, and then you may go, well, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Just ask us, we can tell you if you are. So, and we've also got, when we get it all launched, we'll have that listed as to what falls in those categories. But I hope if you are a tourism-related business and you're looking at, looking for some marketing dollars, there's an opportunity to get $5,000. And I'm really excited. I know it's not a lot of money, but it could go a long way if you use the strategies we've talked about in marketing your business. The other thing is we have a advertising co-op plan. And so it also, you have a handout, I hope you do, that looks like this. If you don't, let me know. And this is, I talked about partnering with other companies, or maybe your chamber or somebody to do a ad. Well, this is partnering with us. We've already bought down the big cost of these ads, or these opportunities. So this gives you a chance to also cash in on that. One of the things I wanted to talk about, we talked a lot about social media, Facebook and Instagram. We have a 25% reimbursement on Facebook and Instagram promoted posts and ads. And you can go up to a $10,000 max reimbursement from us. You just have to make sure, and that's why these contacts are on here at the bottom of each one of these sections. Make sure you're using the information in that post that you need to use in order to get that reimbursement. And it's like tagging us in it and making sure you use our specific language that we want you to have in that. Okay? Same with Google search and Google ad campaigns. Again, it is 25% reimbursement. And then there's some print and digital video, banners, TripAdvisor. There's different types of ads on here. So if you're interested in any of these, if you have general questions, I can help you, but if you get to details on this, I'm just going to direct you to the person on there. And that would probably be the best way. That way you don't have to go through a lot of hoops. But it's a good opportunity, and I don't think enough people take advantage of it, especially on the social media part. Virginia.org, again, if you are a business that would attract some type of tourism, please make sure that you go and list yourselves on our website or work with your DMO in your area. You've got an office right here in Galax. If you're in Hillsville, you've got Teresa and Whitney for Carroll County. So all the counties around you, the surrounding areas, I know some of you all from other areas, but wherever you're from, we can help you get listed on Virginia.org. Make sure you do it. It's free. There's the co-op program I just talked about. And then, again, if you're interested in using our brand, the Virginia's for Lovers brand on anything you do, you can use it. You just have to ask for a request for a logo, and that's on our website. So we have two websites, and you have my card, but it has at the bottom of it Virginia.org, which is a consumer, but VATC.org is an industry website. And you can go on there and do a logo request. And that way you can legally use our logo. Then we have love works everywhere. You've probably seen the big love letters places. If you're interested, it is an attraction. It does bring attention. If you have a business that you would like to have bring love to your business, we will reimburse you up to $1,500 for it. And so that's another program, another opportunity if you want to build your own love for your business. Work with the Welcome Centers if you want more information on them. And then again, we have a marketing leverage grant that will also come up in addition to this small business grant, where you can leverage, it's a 1-to-1 match on your marketing dollars, and it can be an in-kind or cash match. And the good thing is you can use it and pay for all of this stuff that we just talked about. And while that may seem like you're double dipping, it's like you're paying us to use your stuff. It's an opportunity that it's at one time you can do it. So if you have questions about that, any of it, please let me know. And I know I went through all that pretty quickly, but please let me know if I can help you. I'm happy to do that, and happy also to meet with you one-on-one if we can help in any way. All right? Any questions? Oh, yeah. So we have a few hats to give away. And everybody's name's in here? Okay, all right. So why don't you draw a name out? We'll let everybody get mad at you for not drawing their name.
Okay.
If you can read my writing.
Allison.
Allison.
Oh, that's me.
Oh, well, I'm glad you picked your neighbor. Yep. Who else?
Set up.
Here. You can put that one, yeah.
Roger Dyson.
Roger?
Yep, right here.
Oh! This was planned. All right. Yep. Who else? You want to draw one? Yeah, how many do I have?
Yeah.
Okay.
More after this.
Kip.
Oh, everybody keeps picking their neighbor. How nice. Yeah. Okay. One more. Emerald?
That's me.
There you go. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yep. Let's
Jenny, you wrote, didn't you?
Yeah. And you. Thank you.
I've been contacting her. I think she could help me out a lot.
Cute colors though.
She can help you understand some of the businesses, yeah.
Well,
You could make that.
I was thinking, I don't talk to about.
Oh, you
The
don't?
welcome centers want
But I
to
do
host.
just put
Yeah,
in.
for local
And
business
there are
and stuff.
classes they get.
Yeah, I don't know their rules.
Yeah, but I said, I talked to her. I gotta make sure everything goes through for.
But somebody like you sitting beside you at the Chamber of Commerce, so it's gonna be valuable because of the type of business that it is. And especially since you're over in the area, just maybe,
Yeah, you got a card?
I do, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was
Well, then you're gonna do this in Whitfield, so I can come to that one too.
I think, we are past so we'll probably keep going, but if you feel like you wanna get snacks or go to the restroom, please feel free to. Don't,
Okay,
just,
thank you.
go ahead and feel free to while we're getting, I think you're next, right?
Yeah.
Do you need something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something new, it's indoor billboards. That's focused on, high travel So, it's something that's cutting out, it's not the big, big signs you see outside, it's you put inside of what you call those, because it's high traffic. Yeah, I need all contacts I can get.
You will have to. Now, where are you located?
I live in Rocky Gap.
I designed too. Oh, yeah.
It's a home-based business, so.
I'm not.
Yeah, anything else. If I get one in welcome centers, I can advertise all the businesses that would be interested in that area, so. You got people coming through, going south.
Oh, I don't eat all the kisses. I don't like all that.
All of them.
Yeah.
I'll get on one, come back another day.
Yeah.
Gotta find out when you're gonna have your event, I'll come down.
Yeah, and I think we're still,
Sorry, let me move all my stuff. How are you? Owen.
Mandy. Yes.
Okay, Paul's there.
What's it? Caramel. I'll take caramel any day.
Ellen has apple
Now,
and
look, I had the almonds.
All right. No, I'm good. Any chocolate?
Ready?
I think you probably, if you wanna go ahead
I will be doing all the counties and all the way up through
Go.
Montgomery County.
I'll make it quick.
That'll be my area.
All right, guys, it looks like we're gonna keep rolling here. And I hope you're all having a better day than I am.
Sorry.
I had a low tire, then I had to use my presentation as a knee pad to get down. And every now and then I get a little whiff of what I think is gasoline. So if you smoke, don't get within about 100 yards of me. We might both.
We'll say a prayer for you.
Then I went to the wrong building. I've got a lot of things going on here. Anyway. And I'm adopting a cat. My daughter bullied me into it. I don't like cats at all, and she's determined that I'm going to name this thing School Bus. And we got a lot of issues.
Oh, come
there.
on, Dad.
But
Name the cat School Bus.
this is going to be the highlight of my day.
Small,
Yeah.
don't sweat the small.
Pick your battles, eh?
I know. She's 4 and she's very determined. So love her to death, and she knows it. So all right, I'm Shane Simmons with People Incorporated. I'm the Director of Economic Development there, and we'll get started. I'll try to blow through this because a lot of it's self-evident, hopefully. And we're going to talk about money. It's a big issue when you're starting a business. I think anybody that's done that, you want to think about your options and figure out the best way to do it. So there are 2 main ways to finance your business, as we all know, and that would be equity and debt. And we'll get into those a little bit. So equity financing, you typically either your own personal savings, which generally is ideal if you have that, but realistically not a lot of people do. And it does come with some downsides because when you're spending your own money and you start seeing that drop, you have a tendency to panic and make decisions because a lot of times we all go in pie in the sky thinking that thing's going to take off and make money right off the bat, but a lot of times there's a little bit of a down period. And then I see people panic and it's their business, so it's an emotional decision, and they do things they probably shouldn't do, like shut down on marketing, and they cut corners, and they do all these things, and clients and customers take note of that. So you want to, basically you want to have a good plan for your first year of business at least. The next one is friends and relatives, and that's another good source, but it also has some strings attached every now and then. That doesn't always work out. You got angel and informal investors, and again, that's nice to have, but normally they want some sort of control or some sort of say-so in your business, so it's not always the best way to go. And then there's crowdsource funding, which of course people familiar with Kickstarter, Indiegogo. I've got a YouTube channel, which you should all subscribe to, called Real Appalachia, by the way. But I have a Patreon, Real Appalachia, and we have a Patreon. I actually have people paying me to make videos, but they also want something. They want exclusive content. Nobody just gives you money because they like you, I found, and that's kind of sad. But there's always ways of getting some funding if you need it. And one of the best things about this, of course, is it's the least costly way of doing it as far as financially. And you're more likely to get a loan because a lot of you have probably heard the term having skin in the game. So if you come to me and you say, I've already invested $10,000 of my own money, well, that tells me you're committed. It's like, well, you're gambling, you're betting on yourself. If you come in here, and I've seen this very recently, actually, a very specific example was somebody likes to smoke, apparently, and they went by a vape shop, and the place was for sale. Well, they just came in, and they said they're asking $40,000, and I want to buy it, and I want $40,000. And I was like, well, what do you know about this kind of business? How much money are you putting into it? Long story short, I haven't seen them since. So, it was they had a dream, and they woke up and moved on to another dream, hopefully. And then, again, a business that has adequate equity is more likely to succeed, of course, because you have that peace of mind of knowing you've got resources. You can invest in your business. The other, of course, is debt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
One of those is a line of credit, which is, that and credit cards are kind of sort of similar. They're both usually revolving lines of credit. You can do it, and you only pay based upon the amount that you borrowed. So it's usually a percentage. They both, too, typically have flexible, I guess it's a nice way, interest rates. And so it's not always ideal, especially right now in the rising interest rate environment. You got to be prepared to know that that might go up on you. Credit cards are usually the worst because they have the highest interest rates. They're the easiest ones because they're unsecured and you got a little card you can swipe and it feels good, but you know, there's, again, you got to have a way of repaying that. One that a lot of people use is supplier's credit. If you actually have merchandise, a lot of times they'll entice you with some very good financing so that you'll use their product and choose them over a competitor. So, and you want to use that leverage too. Sometimes that's negotiable. You just got to realize that almost everything in life is negotiable if you got a position of power anyway. Business term loan, that's kind of sort of like, well, if you go out and buy a car, it's a similar thing. It's a fixed rate, fixed payment. You get out here, you borrow $20,000 for 5 years for $400 a month. You kind of get an idea what that is. Leasing, that's used to obtain assets, and it may provide some more flexible options. And there's also occasionally, I'm not an accountant by any means, but sometimes there's tax advantages to that too. So it's something to explore at least. There's government programs. You know, a lot of, you've got the SBA. A lot of these towns and communities have what's called community development block grants. And I think there's one for this area. Mandy might know more about that, but which we manage it. But anyway, there's always opportunities. You want to check with your state and national, and you want to check around to see what your options are too, and don't just limit yourself, because a lot of people think a bank is their only option. For a lot of people starting up a business, it can be your worst option, because I worked for a couple of large banks for about 15 years. And, you know, they try to make loans to people who don't need it. That's good. Got to that point. It's like, okay, if you've been in business 2 years and you got a good cash flow and you got all that, well, we might loan you money that you don't need. But if you're starting up and you're needing somebody to take a chance on you, a lot of times your best option is somebody else. And I know Mandy touched on it a little bit earlier. The SBA is a great one because they'll take a little bit more chance on you. We do the microloans, and they are, you can do them for working capital, you can do them for equipment, you can do them for a lot of things that a lot of banks don't like to touch. So certainly something to think about. Sources, again, credit cards are the most expensive. And this is the thing too, there's sneaky little guys. This has happened to me a couple of times because I started a business. What did I do? Rent up some credit cards. What did they do? They cut my line because, ooh, this guy's starting to get, I don't know about this guy, you know, he's needing our money. So that's definitely not a good thing. And it's the most risk for you because interest rates, if you default on it, they love fees. If you go over your credit limit, if you run late, if you jack your interest rate up.
They're all about making money.
They're all about making money. Yes, we're exactly right. So your personal savings has the lowest expense and it's the lowest risk. But you're also, when you do that, you're also missing out possibly on investment opportunities too. You got to think about things like that too. If you put it in the stock market, what could you do, and realistically? And also, you don't want to use all of it because, like I said before, I've seen people do that and they start to panic. You know, they've got $15,000, $20,000 set aside, and when it gets down to that last thousand, it's like, ooh, they start making those risky decisions. Bank financing, it's a lower cost usually. You get a pretty good interest rate. They usually want shorter terms. They want everything on their stacked in their deck. They want really, really good collateral usually, way more than what you're getting your loan for. And so it's a good option if you're really interest rate sensitive and if you've got the strength to get it, but a lot of times that's not the best option, especially for a startup business. And again, small business administration, they're lower cost. Sometimes they'll do longer terms. They don't have as heavy of collateral requirements. Like, for example, what we do, we go well above 100% a lot of times on collateral. So you bring me $50,000 piece of collateral, I can sometimes do $75,000 loan for you. You know, depending on what you're doing. Yeah, and that's something new we've done. We're taking chances on folks, but it's worked out good so far. Delinquency rate's phenomenal. So that's a big advantage that you can get if you shop around. Again, a little bit higher interest rate, so there's a little bit of a cost to it, but that's definitely a good thing to have. Again, lower risk to the partner banks. If you go above, we can make loans up to $250,000. Our SBA limit's $50,000, but you know, I know the Virginia Community Capital, some of those work with SBA, and they're a little bit more willing to take risks as well. And you know, we've got all kinds of options to take care of real estate, equipment, working capital needs. And nonprofit community lenders, which is what we are, People Incorporated. A lot of people don't know we make loans. They'll see, they know we do Head Start and a lot of other things, but we actually have a whole division, People Incorporated Financial Services, that is set up for consumer and small business loans.
Are you connected in any way with New People's Bank?
No, I've worked with them before, but I don't have any,
Okay,
we don't have any particular ties to them.
okay.
Just very quickly as well, if you're in this area, you may see People Incorporated is also a workforce development agency. So just to make that clear, yes, they have an office in Crossroads Institute, but that's the workforce development agency, not the agency not the section, I guess, or department that Shane's with. However, we do work closely with them for individuals for other needs.
Yeah, People Incorporated has 31 different programs that we do. I mean, it's everything and under the sun, and honest to God, I can't name 15 of them to you. You know, it's just so
I know
many.
you deal with childcare, senior citizens, I mean, you're just
Housing.
all out there.
Yeah, we
Housing.
do everything we can possibly do to help people, but, you know, all I know is loans. So if you come to me about any of them, I have to refer you on. So before you do come to apply for a loan, one of the biggest things you can do is get your financial house in order. You want to make sure you pull your personal credit report and take a look at it. I read an article a couple years ago. It astounded me, but because I've been in lending for 20-some years, but 70% of credit reports have some sort of error on it or inaccuracy. Everybody thinks of identity theft, and that's a very small part of it. It's usually something amiss somewhere, some way, and most of the time it's not that big of a deal, but a situation in my own family happened because my brother happens to be a junior. So there was Billy Simmons the first, Billy Simmons Jr., they had the same address. Well, they went out and started getting turned down for loans all the time, and he's like, what in the world, I got perfect credit. Well, they started slapping both of their credit on one report. So his debt to income was through the roof. He had 2 mortgages and 3 car payments, and you know, but he didn't know until he looked at his credit report. It's because a lot of the lenders won't disclose what's on your credit report, so you have no idea. You just got turned down. I'm like, well, what the heck, you know? I pay everybody, but that's one of of many examples of this kind of thing happening. And of course, identity theft is another problem sometimes. So you want to make sure, if at all possible, all your accounts are current and that you don't have any type of judgments or liens against you too, or if you do, any kind of derogatory information. You want to make sure that you can explain that problem and that it makes sense, because I used to keep a list of this. I made over 3,000 loans, and I've turned down probably 10,000 more. And I'm almost like a psychic or a medium. If I looked at your credit report, I could sit down there and tell you your life story. It's like, oh, you have a spending problem, and you don't have discipline, or you like to build things. You know, I can just tell where you spend your money by your credit report, and you know a lot about somebody. So if you've had problems, we've all had problems. We've all. If you've had problems, be honest about what it was and what you did to fix it and why it won't happen again. And people, I love to take chances on people. If you come to me and you've had a hard luck story, by golly, I'll still take a chance on you. But if I feel like you're not being upfront and honest, that's not a good sign, because you can't build a relationship on dishonesty. That's just not a good, just like I said, I've had tough
You might
times.
want to say that twice.
Yeah, really. Well, I mean, for example, myself, I paid off Wells Fargo, had 0% financing on some furniture. Well, I paid it off way early, and I thought. I came up a couple dollars short. They mailed me a letter, and I assumed it's paid off. So I didn't even open it. I knew I paid it off. I thought, this is the letter verifying that I paid this off, so I ain't got time to read this. Well, they sent me another letter, and then all kinds of things. Next thing you know, I have a thing showing up 60 days late on me on my credit report. And I'm like, I'm still fighting them over that. But that's my story, and I can prove it. But anyway, that's just the thing. If you want to be able to explain what caused the situation and why it won't happen again and why you're a good bet. Another thing to have too is, whether it's personal or business, if you've been in business, they'll definitely want to see your tax returns, financial statements, cash flow a lot of times, business plan if you're a startup. And I tell you, Mandy and Jenny do such a great job. I can't endorse them enough. I love all the SBDCs, but these guys are right up at the top. So if you need help with anything like that, please go see them. They're great partners for you. So, but if you have that kind of stuff, it shows that you're prepared. You put that thought into, you put that work in yourself. You know, even sometimes if you don't have a lot of money to invest in your own business, I want to know that you're thinking about it. You're really prepared for what could possibly happen, whether that's good or bad. And also any kind of financial documents that could help a lender, like copies of what you have for collateral, what it is, and all that kind of thing is certainly helpful. And also, this is kind of selfish, but I want to make that neat too, because it puts a little bit of your image out there. First impression is, if you come in here and your stuff's sloppy, Well, what's that say? You're coming in here, first time I meet you, and, you know, you smell like gasoline, and you got dirt stains on your pants.
You're disorganized.
Yeah, you look disorganized. That's how I feel today, so glad I'm not applying for a loan. But anyway, moving right along. And this is another, this actually happened yesterday. This is a prime time for this to happen. So be specific in what you're asking for. You need to know exactly how much you need and what you need it for. Because we had this great, this is Northern Virginia, so anyway, they had two professors who just retired from college, and they have what sounds to be a great idea. But they came in and asked how much we all lend on the microloans. So it's $50,000, okay. And then they had no, it was the most vague thing about what they're going to spend the money on. So this in this application, and they had, well, we're just going to pay insurances and fees and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, that's great, but how do I know how much all this stuff costs? So as much as you can get itemized information, that is going to help you tremendously, because, you know, we had to decline it because I'm not going to write you a check. It's like, you know, it sounds like a good idea, but if I don't know where it's going and how much you need it and what you need it for, that's not very helpful. So they're going to go back and get all that together, and hopefully we'll be able to help them out with it. But, you know, it's never a good look when you come in there and you don't really, you just, how much would you give me? That's not very helpful.
And you said college professors?
Yeah, you think, well,
Yeah.
It happens. Also, you want to know what your primary source of repayment is. So what if a doomsday scenario happens? Well, here's the first one. I'm sorry, I got to hold myself on that. You want to know your debt service coverage. A lot of you are familiar with the terms debt to income ratio for your personal. Well, this is kind of for your business. It shows what your cash flow, can you make this payment and still make enough money to keep your business floating. So that would be your earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation divided by your total debt service. And it basically comes out to be your own personal debt to income as well. A lot of times those are both factors in that. So I just want to make sure that what you're doing is going to make enough money to pay that back. And if not, then what is your backup plan, your second source of repayment? How, if, like I said, the doomsday scenario comes in and things don't work out the way you planned and hoped, how are you going to pay your money back? And you need to have a pretty good, strong plan for that. If you got, of course, if you do have capital, that's great, because that's very comforting. But if you don't, what else can you do to liquidate? What are you going to do? Sell your what are you going to do? How are you going to pay us back? How are we going to get our money back? Because I've got to explain it to somebody else. You know, if this thing goes downhill, they march Shane Simmons up there, and he tells them, I have to tell them why in the world I made that loan. So, and also, if possible, sometimes you need guarantors, somebody to back you up on it, and additional collateral. Again, it goes to that skin in the game. If you don't have cash, well, if you're willing to put up, and this happened yesterday too, somebody put up their boat that they love, and we just, a fisherman, and I'm like, well, if you're putting your boat up, you're pretty well betting on yourself that this thing's going to work out really well. So if you're willing to put that kind of thing in your personal collateral, that's a good sign for you. So here at People Incorporated, we do loans up to $250,000 for the most part. We got one loan. It's called the 9th District Development Financing, and that kind of ties into the tourism that Becky was talking about. It's very specific to tourism, but if you're opening a business like that, you can get a 3.5% interest rate on those. And right now we have a little bit over $500,000 to play with, so we can make a loan up to that amount if if somebody's got that. So and we've made a couple down in this area, I believe, back in the day anyway. So normally we do ours up to 10 years. We're getting a little bit, I'm pushing really hard to get more lax on this kind of stuff, because we've amortized a few for 20 years, because we really want to be, you know, aggressively helping people to, especially for tourism. And then our interest rates on other loans are normally between 4.5% to 7.5%. And we just switched this in the last few months. We do risk-based pricing. So we put a little calculator in there that puts in your credit and your cash flow and all that kind of stuff, and it comes up with a number kind of sort of like a credit score, and if you fit into certain categories, you can get better interest rate. I used to be all 7.5%, so I'm really happy that we're working with people, because 4.5% interest rate right now is really, really, really good. It's probably going to be going up soon, but as long as I can keep it down there, I'm going to try to. And again, you know, we do training and technical assistance as well. One thing that a lot of times you've got a great idea or a great skill for a business, but nobody's good at everything. You can't be, you know, you come in here and you're a great plumber, doesn't mean you're great at marketing and good at social media and you're good at accounting and doing all this kind of stuff. So the best thing you can do to help yourself in a business is to not try to do everything. And if you're doing well, you won't have time to do everything. So you really need to build a team, and that's why I love when people come to these kind of things, because you can build a team here. You get a lot of people that can help you in a lot of different ways, and that way you don't feel like you're out there on an island and doing this stuff by yourself. You can have people that have experiences, because believe me, you put all this together. We've heard every story in the book. We've seen every scenario, so we'll do anything we can to possibly help you. So that is the end of my presentation. I am not Johnny Repass, believe me. My name is Shane Simmons, but it would be ssimmons@peopleinc.net if you need to email me, or you can talk to Jeremy. He's a good guy too. So.
Do we have your business card?
His information's on in your packet with, or it lists all the folks.
Okay, gotcha.
That one.
He's on this
That's all
one.
yours. That
He's
one.
on this one.
Actually, my business cards are sitting beside my kitty food that I just bought. So I get to bring them today.
The cat that you're gonna name School Bus.
I will not be naming it School Bus.
Come on.
I negotiated.
Let the child have an opportunity.
Well, I was trying to be funny myself. See, she's weird like I am. I don't know if anybody knows the Oak Ridge Boys. I mean, the country singers. Anyway, they had that song called Elvira, and I thought it would be so funny. I want to annoy the people when I go to the vet, because I wanted to name it Giddy Up Ba Papa Meow Meow, and yeah.
You don't want to name it School Bus? I believe I'd go back to School Bus.
Well, no, I'm thinking now I'm gonna call it G, just an initial G. But then now she wants to name it. I said I'll name it. That's her last name, so it'll be.
Is this your cat or her cat?
It's gonna be mine because she's really got the time.
She's 4. I think.
It'll love you.
That's cute.
Thanks, Shane, appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's credit and coming from a lender is very important, and you need to be prepared before you even go seek financing. So that's one of the keys. Have your house in order. When we were putting together how we were going to revamp the Entrepreneur Express program, one of the things that the team felt important is to talk about cybersecurity, because I think if anything that COVID taught us is that, you know, you've got to have an online presence. So many Main Street businesses, you know, hurt because nobody was getting out of their house. Or we couldn't get out of our house, and how you need to be online, but also you need to be online because you're going to be promoting your business, you're going to be communicating back and forth with customers, you're going to be developing flyers, hopefully a website, so there's so many needs. And we couldn't have a private IT firm to come to every one of our workshops. It just wasn't feasible because they have to run a business. So what we did was we worked with a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Evident with Aegis Technologies. And Jonathan, I said, could you put some thoughts together and let's get online and record that for you. And it's not Spielberg quality, trust me, it was on a Zoom call. But just share some major tips as an IT firm that's gotten people out of messes. You know, if you're on Facebook at all, you see how people get hacked so often. Well, the last thing you want to do is have customer data up there and be hacked. And you mentioned New People's Bank. Well, there was a nightmare that nobody ever wants to, no bank or no institution wants to be involved in that. So this is Jonathan kind of sharing a few tips for you to consider, to think about as you either start or to grow your business. That's really important going forward.
Hey, I'm Jonathan Evident with Aegis IT. We provide quality IT consulting and business solutions founded on personal character and integrity. We will be in business for 10 years in May, which is super exciting. When I started the company, I really didn't have any contacts or any work. And here we are with a handful of employees and continuing to grow. So this has taken a significant amount of time and effort to get to this point, but I am extremely thankful for how well we've done and for all of our great clients that we work with. So in terms of my background, I have been in business for 10 years. I've been in IT consulting for about 17 years, and I've been getting paid to fix computers since about the mid-90s, so I started when I was reasonably young, and really enjoy computers. It is something that is a hobby and a passion that has turned into a full-time job. But not only that, a full-time business that has multiple employees. So this is something I get very excited about and I really enjoy. And that is probably one of the best things that has happened in terms of being able to start a business. It's something that I'm very passionate about. It's something I get very excited to do because there's a lot of work and a lot of time that goes into it. And if it was something that I didn't enjoy or was passionate about, I don't know that I'd be as motivated as I am now, especially for the business that I work in. So today I wanted to cover a couple of bullet points about items that are pertinent to new businesses, and especially from the IT side. I'm going to talk briefly about email, websites, phones, computers/servers, line of business software, cybersecurity issues, and briefly on social media. The idea is that every single one of these are major points that new businesses need to take into consideration, and as we have been working with new businesses for the past 10 years, we've seen all of these handled differently, and there are significant implications to how you set things up and how you move forward with your business. So this is just going to be a quick 1 to 2 minutes per topic, and we're always available and happy to talk about these items at length. There are other resources that we've put out, such as some other presentations, material on our website, some other videos, as well as in person or a phone call to go into more detail on these items. So let's talk about your email. Email is one of the major communication methods between businesses and other businesses or businesses and individuals. It's something that is frequently first point of contact. We get a lot of people contacting us by email first. Maybe they found us on the website, maybe they found us on social media, maybe they got referred to us by a friend, and then they send us an email. So your email is something that is a quick representation of your company. And when it comes to startups, it's entirely common for the owner to use their personal email, whether it's a gmail.com or a Yahoo or a Hotmail, or I've seen instances of AOL still floating around there. And we strongly recommend, even with a new business, spending the $12 a year and buying your own branded domain. So this might be yourcompany.com, yourcompany.net. Most people start with simply.com. There's .biz, and there's plenty of options out there if your company name is taken. My company is Aegis IT. We had to register thinkaegis.com because Aegis is a common enough name, such that Aegis.com was taken, AegisIT.com was taken. And so we put in a call to action for our domain. And I'm pretty happy with it 10 years later. But what you get from that is you get the option to have a branded email. And so it's just much more professional. So instead of having Bob25@hotmail.com as your company email, have your branded email that's going to look significantly better and more presentable to clients. Same thing with a website. Websites are a bit more involved. Well, an email will take simply a domain and possibly using Gmail or Office 365, and you can get those for a couple dollars a month, basically. For business email, website can be significantly more. If you were to get a professional looking website, you could easily spend thousands, and it can go up from there. So when you're talking about a website for a startup, that can be a pretty daunting task, especially when you start getting quotes from just the more professional marketing or professional website companies. So easy resources might be starting with, say, Wix, which I don't like long term, but it's a great opportunity to get started quickly. There are some other options out there that allow you to do basically a builder website where either it's a quick template, you can get a WordPress template for free. There's plenty of free WordPress templates that look great out there. And you don't have to spend a huge amount of money to get your website up and running. In fact, one suggestion that we would make is get a simple website, make it look professional. Sometimes even a single page landing page will be good enough to have your contact information, have a phone number, and some basics about what you do, what services or products you offer. And that way you're not spending a huge amount of money to get up and running, and then budget some money for a more professional website when you're down the road. Websites are great because people still heavily use the websites to find you. SEO is a big deal, being on Google Maps, being on, I hate Yelp, but people will still refer to it's still a source of traffic for certain industries. And if you don't have a good looking website, you will be setting yourself back, especially in regards to when you're a startup. So another important factor would be phones. We see, especially with startups, people use their personal cell phone because they're already paying for it, and that becomes an easy to manage expense. That's okay. It doesn't scale well, so as you grow, you're not going to want to give out your cell phone. I personally give out my cell phone, but we're a break fix industry, and so we want people to call us to be able to reach us as there's problems. As we get larger and larger, I will be pushing more towards using a help desk number or a support number or as a way to be able to centralize tickets rather than calling cell phones. But for now, it works. And so an important question for your business phones would be, how do you want to handle your business phone? Do you want to just run your business off your cell phone, which long term is not great, especially if it's your personal phone. You want to get a traditional phone system from, say, your internet provider, Spectrum, Comcast, Bright Ridge, whoever you're getting your internet from, they will sell you a traditional phone line. The issue with that is now you've got a fixed piece of equipment in your office that won't work anywhere else, such that if you set up in a phone system from one of those providers, you have to be in the office unless you're call forwarding after hours. Now you're paying for what's essentially an older phone platform and a PBX that sits in your office. We sell a significant amount of voice over IP these days. That is software that runs on a phone server elsewhere, so really all you need is internet. I can install the software on my cell phone, I can install on my iPad, my computer. In fact, my assistant works remotely. She has the software on her laptop, she has a headset, and she logs in and makes phone calls, and it shows up as my company name and my company number when she makes calls. That's great. I can log in on my cell phone, and we all share essentially the same software, even if we're not physically in the same location. And we can also attach desk phones to that. It's a wonderful direction. It allows for mobility. It allows for people to easily work from home. And it's really the direction that people are going. So that's something that doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Our voice over IP line typically starts about $20, $25. You can find them for even less than that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend paying less than that, given the kind of problems that you'll have with the vendor, but it does not have to be an expensive way to get started, especially if you just get a single phone line for your business. So let's talk about computers and servers. We get this question a lot. I get questions such as, why can't I just go to Walmart or Best Buy and buy a $300 computer and use that for my business, or why can't I run my business software off of a $400 computer from Walmart? Question is, the answer is it's not going to be very good. It doesn't have the hardware, it doesn't have the performance, it's not designed for the type of work that you're trying to do. And so that will die pretty quickly. It might not even die, it just is not going to hold up very well. For example, one client that we were at, they have a line of business software that's running on about 5 other computers in their office. And the computer that's running on is still running Windows 7. It's about an 11-year-old computer. And when I say computer, it's a desktop. And it doesn't have enough RAM, and it doesn't have enough processing, and things are running slowly in their office. And for a startup, the cost of a computer can be pretty expensive, especially if you're buying a full-fledged server. In their particular case, if they were to upgrade and use another workstation, the hardware would be somewhere in the $800 to $900 range plus service time, versus a full-fledged server, which would be anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 for what they needed. In their case, they really need a server because they have other compliance issues that they have to deal with, and I'm not going to go into those details because I don't want to expose anybody, but they have compliance issues that means they really should be spending that money on that hardware and the software and that upgrade. So whether they do or not, I don't know. We simply recommend. We can't and won't force anybody to do anything, but my recommendation to them is spend the money and get the infrastructure that lets them provide the compliance and the management that they need. However, when you're doing a startup, that can be a pretty decent amount of money, whether it's something that you need right away or something that you need later. It's not uncommon for us to see startups that will start using a basic computer for a server. and then transition later on. But that certainly needs to be something that's factored in, depending on what kind of line of business software you need and what kind of compute power you need for running your office. So number 5, line of business software. This can be something specific to your industry. For example, we support a number of dentists, and now we're on our 3rd different dental package that we're supporting. One of our clients switched dental vendors, and so now we're able to support a 3rd different dental package. You have a specific line of business software. You have manufacturing software. You have point of sale software. If you're selling brick and mortar versus online, you have something to manage all your inventory. You have something to manage your sales. QuickBooks is probably one of the biggest pieces of software that we support. Almost all of our clients across all of our industries run QuickBooks for their business, whether it's their accountant or them in-house. So QuickBooks is a huge line of business software that we support. And that can be somewhat challenging to set up to make sure that if you need multiple people in there at the same time, or if you need, say, your accountant to access it remotely, that all factors into how we set it up and how we make it work. So it's not uncommon for the line of business software requirements to drive what kind of computers we purchase and what kind of servers we purchase. And so, for example, with our dental clients, the line of business software actually has higher requirements than what we would typically purchase. And so we have to buy better computers for our dental offices to meet the minimum hardware requirements for that dental software. Whether that's overkill or not, doesn't matter. That's what that vendor wants. And so we buy what that vendor wants. And in that case, that line of business software is what's dictating and driving that hardware purchase. Number 6, cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is an increasingly important topic. And the common question that we get is, why would anyone be interested in us? We have a small network, we have a small data set, we hardly have anything that would be of interest. And the answer is, you have fast internet, probably. You have a computer that can send out lots of emails and lots of scams, and so your data is valuable, your hardware and your bandwidth is valuable. You might have sensitive information, employee information, identity theft, medical theft is actually a big deal. Depending on your industry, maybe you've got a bunch of credit cards from clients and customers. So even something that's a startup or even something that's small, cybersecurity is a pretty big deal. And so we have software that helps with preventing ransomware. We have software that allows us to manage and scan networks. There's a question of, do you need to remotely access your network? That plays into cybersecurity. We have been changing how we handle remote access for our clients because of a response to the increase in cybersecurity. There are certain methods of remote access that I'm in the process of discontinuing for clients, simply because it's no longer as secure as it has been in the past. And there are certain attacks that are targeting particular types of remote access that we want to shut off because of ongoing problems. And so we have changed how we're handling client remote access in light of cybersecurity attacks. Additionally, things like cybersecurity insurance is a huge deal. Not all cybersecurity insurance is the same. Not all cybersecurity insurance vendors are the same. Not all policies are the same. And we have resources that we recommend for how to properly handle and how to better handle cybersecurity insurance. And along with those insurance policies comes extensive questionnaires about your network. That's also something that we help companies deal with in terms of answering that and helping them get into maximum compliance for those policies. And finally, social media. Social media exists. Hopefully you are familiar and aware that it exists. Different demographics will be on different platforms at this point. Facebook versus Instagram versus Pinterest. Even Reddit is a huge online social media platform. And so with a startup, that can be a significant boost of new customers depending on what type of business you're in. Getting your friends and your family to help you get the business started can be extremely helpful. Just know that it exists. You'll want to do your research to figure out what the best platform is to spend your time and effort marketing on. Whether it's worth spending money on, I've seen the numbers. I personally don't spend any money on social media, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't work for other people. Just make sure that you're getting your results and that you have something to show for it at the end of the day. So those are the quick little bullet points that we had, that we had discussed in advance. Let's see if I can share, let's share this, and typically what we say is, if you have any questions, this is my email, website, LinkedIn, phone number. We spend a significant amount of time replying to people. We love questions, especially when it comes to startups. We have a lot of startups, and I've been a startup myself. Thank you.
I will send Jonathan a note and say thank you. He saved me Saturday morning. Saturday's my cartoon day. And I was having some issues. I had to replace my modem, and I had a lot of port forwarding to do with my router, and I couldn't figure out the new modem, and he helped me out. In 5 minutes, he had me going, so showed me how to do it. He's a good guy. I want to talk a little bit about resources. You've learned a lot about how do you go about starting your business, how do you market it, how do you finance it. But you're probably, in my opinion, located in one of the best states in the nation for resources to help businesses get started. I better tell you a little bit about my employer that allows me to do something that I love, is helping businesses. If you're not familiar with Virginia Community Capital, you remember Governor Mark Warner? He was instrumental in starting Virginia Community Capital. He saw a need for financing for communities and small businesses, and helped put together our first $15 million to start Virginia Community Capital. And since then, we've been able to invest that money and do over $1.86 billion in community impact financing over the last 15 years. And we really focus on 3 main areas. That is lending, of course. We don't do startup financing. We send folks to Shane's Way, but we do small business, real estate lending. We also do municipality lending and those kind of things. We also do investing. There's foundations or there's people that want to invest into a bank, which they're going to be paid interest, but that money is being used out into communities to make impacts. And then we also do community innovation services, which is what I do, is going out into helping folks like yourself get started to or expand, helping communities to grow and to hopefully make a difference in communities that we serve, and we are throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia that we serve. Some of our lending programs, as I mentioned, small business lending, we can do some debt refinancing. We do working capital, equipment financing, a number of things in that regard that you might have an interest. We are also an SBA lender as well, and so there's some additional programs that we can access. As I said, we don't do startups. Unfortunately, we need a track record, and we need to see how you have managed that business over a couple of years. But we also, when we're looking at making those approvals, we want to see what's the impact into that community. Yes, you're going to be putting, let's say, a restaurant, but is there something that your restaurant can do? Is it going to help in a downtown revitalization project?
It will.
Yes. Is it fitting the need? Are you going to have fresh foods? Because Virginia, it's amazing that there are gaps in fresh foods available in communities in Virginia. So are you doing that? So we look at that and others and the number of jobs you're creating. So, it's not one size fits all. I mentioned quickly the grocery food access. We do have lending programs working with Virginia Department of Agriculture that provides us financing and technical assistance help that can help you looking at fresh food initiatives. And I've got Lauren Simone contact information on there. She is our guru. She's been doing this, and I can just start asking the question, and she starts answering it because she's been around long enough to know that. But that's something that you can look at if you're even, it could be a convenience store that's in a rural area that they want to start at providing fresh foods. You know, maybe have fresh eggs, fruits, vegetables, that type of thing. And they may need to have a new cooler or something like that. We can provide some financing. Yes, ma'am.
Very quickly, I just can't remember that particular program. Is there consideration for a startup or somebody that's less than 2 years, or are you unsure?
That's a Lauren question.
Lauren
I
question.
want to say this one is not so much focused on just existing businesses, but I don't want to be the last word on that.
Sure, we can find that out.
And we also do solar energy financing too for businesses. And we have a new program called Economic Equity. We have financing at low cost for for women and or minority-owned businesses that can qualify for this. And we actually have a gentleman located in our Christiansburg office. Coleman takes care of that, and if anyone has any interest in learning more about the Economic Equity Fund, please reach out to me, and I will be happy to put you in contact with Coleman to go over those details. And as I say, we do real estate lending, everything from multi-tenant facilities. Maybe you're going to buy a building, you want to rent out the bottom floor for business and have apartments in the next floor or two. We can do financing in that regard. We can do both building rehabilitation, and we also do some historical tax credits and get financing in that. One of the things that I do, and this is a busy slide, that's because I'm doing a whole lot, we believe in helping our businesses and our communities, and it's not by phone, it is getting out and just like today, is helping, and we do a lot of training, not only just me, but I have folks in Richmond and in Eastern Virginia that do training. And one thing I have been doing, and it's hard to believe, yesterday was the start of our 9th season of the New Knowledge program, which we started as a support of a business challenge in Washington County that we just finished our 9th year, getting ready to start planning our 10th year. And it's a professional development program that we do every other Wednesday at noon, New Knowledge. And it's basically to help small businesses receive training at no cost. It's all free. We find presenters that offer their services for free. Yesterday was on Facebook advertising. The next one coming up is on cybersecurity risk and IT. We've got sessions coming up on Canva. Has anybody heard about Canva to do? Well, okay, that's if you're doing some desktop publishing. If you're doing Facebook posts, you're designing your menu, whatever, they do a little bit of everything. We have workshops coming up, a number of those. So we offer about 20 a year, and we stream those, and you can find all of those, probably over 170 videos that's been uploaded to youtube.com/new knowledge. And you'll find those there that we've had over the years on every kind of topic. I know we had 4 sessions in a row all focused on QuickBooks. How do you get set up, how you do your invoicing, some custom work, all kinds of stuff from a CPA in Abington do that. So there's tons and tons of info there that's available for you. And if you want to find other sessions there it is. You can also go on our website and find others that are being offered up in Virginia. One of these sessions I wanted to have is Credit 101, and Lauren is going to do a session on the healthy food initiative. So if you can think of it, we've probably already got it scheduled or getting ready to have it.
Is BCC a government agency?
No, we are a nonprofit, but have a for-profit bank. We're one of 9 in the nation that's made like that. So that gives us access. Being a nonprofit, we do get access to grant funds that we can turn around and put into projects. That's why the economic equity, we got grant fund to do that. mentioned to Becky, getting ready to do a regional pitch contest, and I had a foundation do a grant for that, and that will be focused on women and minority-owned businesses, because, mostly existing businesses. It would have to be existing, because that's what the foundation said. This is how we want to do it. So we work within their means to do that. And we got quite a bit of money on that economic equity to do also financing. I wanted to mention some other state agencies that you ought to consider. If you've never heard of Department of Housing and Community Development, you've probably not been in one area in Southwest Virginia that Department of Housing and Community Development, or as we say, DHCD, is not touched in one way. Helping communities access grant funds, to build bridges, to put in water lines and so forth, but they're also involved in community and economic development. And they have several funds that you might want to look at. Even the Virginia Main Street, if you have a Main Street location, they have resources and funding to do that. I know that Mandy and them's gotten community business development, community business launch funds before that they did. I guess that's been about 3 years ago, that you did a business challenge in the area, and they helped them finance that. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, Department of Agriculture has a number of programs, and they are the ones that gave us the funding for the fresh food initiatives, and they also have other resources. If you're growing something, you can go there and it might be something you want to put in their annual, I don't know if they still do it, they did a number of years ago, have a catalog of Virginia grown programs and so forth. And if you have an agricultural business, you might want to be listed in there. Same way with wineries and other things. They have resources available. Small Business Administration, SBA, tons and tons of resources available through the SBA. Mandy knows the SBA well because they receive funding through the Small Business Administration. You may have heard of something called SCORE.org. They have SCORE offices, but they have, you can learn a lot about their loans and how they go about it. But if you're just starting out and you want to look at how do I start out developing a business plan, well, they have templates and stuff. You can go in there and look at the different types and download it, and that gives you a started. Because I don't know about you, is that blank sheet of paper when you're starting a project is the most intimidating until you can get the ideas flowing. So that would give you some ideas of how to do that. Some other markets that you might want to look at as you start and grow your business, it's always looking for new markets of opportunity. You have to. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. One area that I encourage folks a lot is to look at selling to the state of Virginia. They're buying about $7 billion annually in goods and services, but you can't just pick up the phone and call social services, said, I sell printing, I want to sell to you. You can't do that. You have to get your business registered on Virginia's electronic procurement system, or they call it EVA, eva.virginia.gov. And basically what you're doing is when you're applying, you're telling them about your business, the products and services that you offer, how to get up with you. If you are a small and or woman-owned or minority-owned business, you need to get your business certified as a SWAM vendor. And what that does is there is a special set-aside out of that $7 billion that all procurement officers in Virginia must purchase annually to SWAM vendors.
SWAM?
Yeah, it stands for Small Woman and Minority Owned. It's on the EVA website that you go to.
You have to do that even though we're in this part of Virginia?
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah,
a seminar that said SWAM was only for a certain part of Virginia.
No, it's statewide.
Okay.
That could be, now some county and towns do their own type, you have to be a certain registered and so forth, but that's very rare anymore. but you can go on there and you can connect to, by getting registered, you're getting access to over 245 agencies, state agencies, that's in 900 plus localities. And the other thing that people don't think about is those other 10,000 vendors that are on EVA. Why can you not use those folks as a target? They're small businesses. You can go on the procurement system. Let's see if I got it. You can actually get tons and tons of information off of that, and it's public information. It's free access. Basically, you can create your own database to target. For example, if you say, okay, Sandy, tell me how many caterers, how much did Virginia spend with caterers last year or the last 6 months? I can show you every purchase order that was issued. We can even narrow it down to, a certain thing. Is it just doing box lunches, or if you're doing the whole thing? We could narrow it down, even including drinks and so forth. But you can also see who's getting those purchase orders, but you can also look at all the other businesses that are registered on the procurement system for a couple reasons. It could be somebody that you want to target, maybe some subcontracting opportunities, maybe somebody in Eastern Virginia got this big project and they can't print it all and they want to subcontract all of it out, and the state encourages you to also, for your third-party vendors, to be SWAM certified. So if you're on there and you're approved, then they could contact you and say, I've got this job, I'll send you the file, can you price it for me? But, it's that low-hanging fruit that lots and lots of people have never even heard of, selling to the Commonwealth and what they can do with that. You can also use that to target private sector businesses as well as state government. You can see who the procurement officer is at that agency, their email, I think it still has their email, and how to contact them. Or sometimes for Chamber of Commerce, for example, I can do a vendor spend report and just put in, Withville and the areas that you serve, or do it by zip codes, and I can run a report and tell you every business within those zip codes that sold something to the Commonwealth, how much Virginia spent with them during that time frame. It could be a year. It'll give you the name of the company, the contact, email address, phone number, and how much they've been selling. It'll even tell you if they're SWAM certified. That, to me, there's your marketing database. And what did it cost you? Zilcho, other than just going to the procurement system and running those spend reports. So that's very helpful to look at.
Is there a way to search for instance, I'm looking for ozone therapy providers, so that's a healthcare area. So if I want to do a search through any
You
of
would probably
your databases, which database would be appropriate?
Probably first you would have to go on the system and find the NIGP code that you did. Yeah, that references the industry sector, the type of business that you're looking at. And you can go on the EVA website and look at the commodity code summary, or who's buying what I sell, or a vendor search by the NIGP code.
Will that include medical?
If it's got an NIGP code with it, yes. Yeah, I don't know, but when you're thinking about selling to the state, you're talking about colleges and universities and prisons and so forth. Those are mini cities right there. I would think that, for example, if you're talking about the prison, they probably have health care on site, so they may be looking for that kind of service. I have no idea. But it's not costing anything but a few minutes to go on there and look. Another service is selling to the federal government. That's an even bigger market to have to access. And the Procurement Technical Assistance Center that's located in the Southwest Virginia Community College serves all of Southwest Virginia. And they can help you get connected to federal markets. Again, anything, you can't just pick up the phone and say, Mr. Federal Agent, Agency, I want to sell to you. You have to be on the system and learn. I don't know, I don't work with that a whole lot, so I don't know if it's as robust as the state, but their contact information is there. Remember, you can get all these slides by just scanning the QR code there, and you can have access to that information, or any of us can help you. And I understand from Carl Noblick, they're not able to do much to help a whole lot anymore with state, but there's help out there to help you. I wanted to bring up another opportunity, and Becky can chime in at any time. I don't know if you all have heard, but Bristol just got a new casino.
Friday.
Yes. Well, that casino's needing vendors. That means people to sell to them. You name it, they got. Well, here's a list of the different stuff that they had on their website about a month ago that I pulled this from. So you look at all these opportunities. A couple of my friends have become vendors for the Hard Rock. One's selling fudge, the other one's selling specialty advertising. Like she can do shirts that'll have Hard Rock on it. Could be lanterns that they use there that you put your card in. I haven't been there, so I don't know all this, but that's an opportunity for them. It's not probably going to be their only account, but it would be nice to get a request for proposal, and you were able to respond, and they say, okay, you got it, and I need 100,000, $1 million of this, because once you get with the casino, with the Hard Rock, you also can sell to the other Hard Rocks casinos all around the country and international. Now, again, just like state and federal, it's not that you just pick up the phone and say, I want to do this. You've got to get registered. You also, because that is a casino, the Virginia Lottery oversees that. You also have to be a confirmed vendor for the Virginia Lottery, and it helps if you have your SWAM certification, because that money all goes through there. But I just wanted to bring up another opportunity. Again, when that gets all full and you've got the hotel all loaded up with people, you have all of the 6 or 7 restaurants, 2 gift shops, and of course you've got that you will be able to go and see shows. I wonder if
there's a 28,000 seat amphitheater outside, and then a 3,200 seat one inside.
In Bristol?
Yeah,
it's in the old Bristol Mall.
Yeah.
Where are you paying?
Well, no, I didn't know they were having, okay, the casino, yes, music, no, I didn't realize.
Oh, it's a full thing.
The casino's only like 12% of this whole big project that we have. Yeah, it's really huge.
So,
Yeah.
why we're bringing this up is this is an opportunity for small businesses. This is not just a Bristol project. This is a Southwest Virginia project. And they're going to be buying things. I would much rather see them buy things from Virginia businesses than North Carolina, East Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky, Timbuktu, wherever, in what country, what city. This is our opportunity. I feel like this project, and not everybody agrees, but it's here, and we have an incredible opportunity in Southwest Virginia to take advantage of it. For example, if you've got a tourism business, why not put tour packages together that people might want to go in the morning, and raft the Clinch River for the morning, and then get back and they can go see a show, play the tables and so forth. So this is our opportunity.
I'm just curious, have any of you all been there yet?
Lost my first $100 Saturday.
Excellent. Another one? How many? I'm just curious.
Not yet.
I did.
Okay.
I was there yesterday, and
Okay.
because of the Bristol Motor Speedway,
Yeah.
they're trying to connect too.
Right.
And I've worked with the Bristol Motor Speedway because they have a tendency to reach out to the Tennesseans, because they're doing like you're doing. They're wanting the Tennessee people to promote for the Bristol Motor Speedway, but then now that we're neighbors, they're wanting to try to focus on that too, where you all need to fight for it. You know,
Well,
now
hey,
that I'm back in Virginia again,
Hey,
I'm not
that's why I'm
promoting
fixing to
Tennessee.
slide and I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I'm
get
not
people to.
promoting Tennessee anymore. I told them, I said, I'm a Virginian now, I'm no longer Tennessean. You know, we want the Virginia people to start doing it, because that was one reason why they came there. That's one reason why they voted on it. They need that revenue in Virginia.
And it's not just going to Bristol
No,
communities.
no, it's spreading out all over
Feed on it.
Virginia, because even the police officers and the fire departments and all them are saying, you know, we're gonna get funding from all this. I mean,
Yeah.
even as far up here. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the 12 localities within the VDOT district,
Right.
Bristol district. So there's quite a few that's gonna get, and it's going to be equally distributed between all of them.
Yeah.
So.
Because it all started with the schools. You know, they built a lot of new schools in Bristol, and they couldn't afford it, and they didn't have the money, and it kind of started from there.
Well, it started from two very
Yeah.
Buchanan
5 years
County
ago.
natives.
Yeah, it
told
did.
folks.
We'll
and
have to give them credit.
Speaking of Buchanan
Yes.
County,
Small
before
Emory Henrys.
Yeah.
Speaking of Buchanan County, before I forget, would you all lift that community? I'm from Buchanan County originally. What has happened there is just,
Catastrophic.
it's so heart, it just crushes me. And I just checked, there's still almost 20 folks that's still not been accounted for. And they need, that
Oh,
community
you're
needs.
talking about the flooding?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
sorry.
they need hope. That's what they need. And I'm a big person of faith, and I've been praying, and if you would lift those people up. I'm sorry to get off track, but
What county is that,
thank
I'm
you.
sorry?
It's Buchanan,
Buchanan
County, Grundy, Virginia, but you know, Grundy was only slightly hit. It was more up in the Whitewood and Pilgrim's Knob and all of those areas. Yeah. So they need your prayers. Again, I'm sorry, but here's an opportunity. And before I forget, I want to mention you talking about doing an Airbnb. Why, if somebody's not staying at your Airbnb, if you don't have a rack card for the Hard Rock, if they're looking for something to do, especially keep up with what shows are coming on, that's coming up, that somebody's staying with you, they might want to know, and you might want to add that as a promotion of your facility, that you are so many miles from the Hard Rock Casino in Bristol, Virginia.
Because seriously, it's only like an hour and 15, hour and a half to Bristol. So stay out of that congestion. Come stay in Galax, you know? Yeah.
Now, not everybody will stay at the hotel. There'll just be, you know, they go there for the day.
And honestly, we need hotel rooms. We don't have enough in Bristol. So for my other community service job, I serve on the Bristol City Council.
Oh,
So I will tell you, we do not have enough hotel rooms. So we are going to be pushing them out and to the Airbnbs and to any other places we can send them to.
So what I'm getting at, to round it up, is opportunities there. It just takes an idea from you and some work to get registered and get on board. But I mentioned to Becky, and we're just starting out, is I was able to get a grant from a foundation, and part of that money, $50,000 of it, is I want to do one of the region's first regional pitch contests that will give away 5 $10,000 awards. It's kind of like Shark Tank, if you watch Shark Tank on TV. The twist on this would be to support the Hard Rock. So if you provide any services, products, and so forth for that, now, this would have to be existing businesses. It couldn't be for startup. But if you're a woman and or a minority-owned business, this would be the target with that $50,000. And again, we're just starting to lay out the rules, but basically what you do is submit an application, and you would do your 3-minute pitch, record it, and send it up. And those pitches will be reviewed, and they'll be narrowed down to 10. The 10 will be in the finalists, and then they will be judged. We will also have a component, because I feel like the citizens of the area should have a part of the voting. So we'll have a certain window of opportunity that citizens can vote on which pitch did you like the best. Because keep in mind, these folks, if they're expanding, they can also serve you and help. And then what we'll do is, my hope is in the first part of December is announce the winner. And hopefully, maybe we can even do it at the Hard Rock, at the new casino. But that's our plans. If something happens and if we don't do it just for the Hard Rock, it'll be available for any kind of product or service. But I encourage anybody thinking about it. And I'll be sure once we move forward, Mandy, you'll know all about it. But as I say, we're in draft mode right now, but I want to share that. Again, it's our way to support the Hard Rock. Some other state resources, if you, and Mandy will tell you, you've got to get your business registered and get your tax ID number through the Virginia Department of Taxation. We want a little piece of the pie of what you're doing. Also, when you have 3 or more employees, you need to get registered with the Virginia Employment Commission. And also, it's where you need to register to pay your unemployment insurance tax. Another resource that's not for everybody, but if you're in farming, that man left. But there's Department of Agriculture that has a number of, Virginia Extension Service, but they're agriculture related. But they have a lot of resources, even down to canning foods, to helping you if you've got this great product. Like there's a gentleman in Big Stone Gap that does salad dressing. They can help with your label and your dietary needs that you have to put on there. So again, that's another resource that's available that you probably didn't know about.
Well, the extension agent is inside the Gate Center in Independence.
Great.
That's Mr. Spurlin. He's the senior extension agent there, and he does have all those resources.
Good. And they do other stuff too, but that's primarily what they're known for, not just testing the soil in your yard, how good it's doing. And I want to mention the Department of Professional Occupational Licenses. Depending on what you're doing, you do have to have a license, a DPOR license. Mostly if you are providing a service like insurance, contractors, a salon, a variety of things, electricians and so forth. But I mentioned this too as another, talking about a free resource. Maybe you're getting ready to hire a contractor in your area, maybe for your home or your business. And you might want to check that contractor out to see if they have any issues, outstanding issues with their license and so forth. If they have any judgments or anything, it's kind of good to check them out. So there's a free resource. You can go on there, look them up, or look up looking for a contractor or a electrician. You can look them up by zip code in your area. And that's it. This is my contact information. And if there's ever anything that I can do, but primarily the reason we put the list of all of our contacts is we're doing this to help you. And that gives us the greatest blessing and pride when we can help you take that idea and turn it into something. Or we may not have the answer always. There may be, we have to say, no, you can't do it. If you come to me and say, I want to manufacture 8-track tapes, I'm probably going to do everything I can to talk you out of that. And you're looking at me like, what's 8-track tapes? Well, that was way back in the day.
Way back, buddy.
Way back.
Way back. I still have some.
It could be. But our goal was to help you, and we couldn't do it without through this partnership, and to have folks like Mandy and others to come on board. But this is your opportunity. We've hit you with a lot. You were warned at the beginning, and we're right at 12. But does anyone have any questions that we didn't address somewhere in our presentation?
I'm gonna think of a million as soon as I leave here.
No,
Yeah.
I'll screen my calls.
Oh, you don't?
No, we're here to help, and if you would, again, take a second before you leave, fill out that questionnaire, or you can do it online, do the QR code there. And thank you, and stay healthy.
Show me how to scan that QR code.
That's
I
it.
don't
Yeah,
know.
so just to, like,
Show us how to scan this QR code.
Okay, we can show you how to scan a QR code before you leave. Really quickly, as a last comment, thank you for coming out today. Making sure that you know, obviously there are lots of local resources as well, and you just don't know until you ask the question. So, for instance, like if you're in the city of Galax, they have an incentive guide. I think Withful, through their IDA, has, you know, what they may offer businesses and some different programs. Grayson County has a tourism grant for new businesses. So what we're trying to do is act as a resource. I can't guarantee you anything, but we just want to act as a resource to be able to connect you with people. One last thing too is we have Nicole Hare has stepped in. She works with the Mount Rogers Regional Partnership, which is a regional economic development organization. And there used to be kind of what I would say is a separation between manufacturing and industry versus mom and pop small businesses. And over the last, decade, I'd say, we've been working on trying to bridge that gap. And that is, so Nicole actually is over here one day a week working with our local economic development authority, works in other localities as well. And so that's one of the things that's advantage for us as a partnership is we're learning to hopefully how to connect you with some of those other organizations too. But thank you. If you do want some help scanning that QR code, I think any of us will be happy to do that. Take some food on your way out.
Oh, yeah,
There are cookies and muffins. Have a, early snack or lunch. And I know we'll all be around for a few minutes if you have questions. Thank you so much for being here.